What's good, y'all? Hope everybody's living well and staying blessed. It's your boy Marcus B. As always, I'm joined with the one and only Mr. Evan Simmons, and it's bro. He keeps missing when we have actual guests. New guy Chris isn't here. Anyways, we got my boy from college, the one and only Mr. Alex Bulko, joining us from Austin, Texas, and he came up here and we talk about so much, man. We talk investing, the greatness of Kobe, the educational system, and basketball, and through the years going on currently with the playoffs and all that. Overall, it's a great conversation. I love this guy. I could talk to him for another 3 hours, and it wouldn't be a scratch in time for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed having it. As always, if you do, make sure you like, follow, share, and subscribe on all the platforms, so that way we can get it out to as many people as possible. If you guys need anything, vitamins, supplements, any workout gear, anything like that, make sure you go to Redcon1 under tier operator. Use my promo code T20MarcusB. Get 20% off guaranteed. If not, any other promotions they got going on to help out the podcast, and you guys get obviously that discount. And other than that, hope you guys enjoy the episode. Peace. That's crazy that it's your job is to travel and they pay you on top of your base pay to travel.
It's wild, right? It's freaking wild. And like the cool thing about it, they were telling me was like all the so like when you sign up for the loyalty accounts, you get all of that. It's all personal. So what a lot of the people that I've been talking to, like my mentor and a lot of the people on my team, is they've been telling me a lot of the times what they do is they so it's a 10-day on, 4-day off schedule. 10 days I work. So Monday all that week and then all the way through Wednesday.
Interesting. Okay.
Right. And then you get 4 days in between those 10-day deployments.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly. And that's how your schedule works for the whole year. It never changes. That's what it is consistently.
Damn.
And so what people were saying was in those 4 days they have off, what they'll do is instead of like traveling home, all those free hotel points they've got, those free car rentals.
Oh, yeah.
They use that for those 4 days to go wherever they want. Or if they happen to get put in a spot that is really, popular and they want to hang out, like Vegas,
They just
Hawaii.
stay those extra.
They just stay those days and spend their personal points or money staying there. You can even fly out your significant other. Like a lot of the people there have, conceived and had their children or met their wife or had just little mini vacations in between doing
Feels like a bit of a racket. That doesn't feel like. I feel like you're not supposed to or should be allowed to do that. But that's all right, man. That's dope.
But I mean, part of it is they also fly you out wherever.
Yeah.
So like you don't have a choice of where your deployment is all the time. Like
So you
living
just
here
get
in Texas, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of Dallas.
Gotcha.
Since
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
right there.
But or you can just get like sent to like BFE Arkansas.
Exactly. I think a lot of the places they'll send you is Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, because Chicago has a lot of storms out in Illinois, and they were telling me the weather is really wild out there. Like you'll get out there and it's like super windy and cold. Sometimes you have to cancel appointments.
Yeah.
Other times, it's easy breezy, it's a nice sunny day. But the other thing that I think would be interesting is the people, because people are different, like regionally.
Oh, for sure.
Whenever you fly out to like New York, I don't know if they're gonna understand. Like I'm not from here, so I'm not as blunt as you guys are. Down here in Texas, we talk about everything and all the side talk.
Yeah.
And,
Like have a little bit of a conversation beforehand instead
Exactly.
of
You
just
warm
like,
up the oven before you just start getting into business.
dang, man. Wait, so how'd you get this gig?
So I was working at my old job, Enterprise, and one of the customers that I had, he was just like, "Hey, man, you're doing really good, great customer service. Do you like your job here?" And I was like, I think it's a good opportunity. It's, the work is work,
Yeah.
but it's gonna lead to bigger things. He's like, "It sounds like you fucking hate it," and I was like, "Well, I'm not gonna say that." He's like, "Nah, it's cool because I used to do the same thing. I worked at Enterprise too." And I was like, "Oh."
Dang. Okay.
So okay, and he was like, and I'll tell you what, dude, I found this opportunity. I love it. I worked it for like 5 years, and now I'm retired, helping my wife run her business. And I was like, oh, he's like, yeah, if you're ever interested, just hit me up. I'll talk to my boy. His boy happens to be my boss now.
Huh.
So it worked out really well. Just he got the referral. They talked to me, made sure like I knew what the job was, but since the guy had done the job, he was like, "Look, you're already. I know with your skills, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna do really well." So when I just emailed him, went with it, and here I am now.
Damn, son. So how long you been doing it?
This would be my fourth, fifth week.
Oh, so just like
So I'm still
new.
like new in training, technically.
Damn, son.
But the training is going pretty well. They're giving me a lot to do. That's a big thing for me when you first start something new. Is do they give you a lot to do, or do they give you nothing?
Yeah.
Right? Because if they give you nothing, then they expected nothing of you. I feel versus if they give you too much, they expected you to be able to handle that, and it's up to you to rise to that occasion. I'd rather be on that side,
Yeah, of course.
because it means that I'm still working on myself and growing, and it means there's more opportunities for me versus trying to find something to do.
Dang, man. I don't think have you been offered a job yet?
Like a different
Like a
job,
different job.
Our job doesn't really put us in front of like people that like other people.
That's
much.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're working like customer service at like enterprise, that's gonna.
That makes sense. You're gonna I guess the thing is you get a more diverse group of people in front of you as opposed to the teacher thing where it's just parents
Yeah.
or other teachers.
Yeah, and I think like with teachers, you could network theoretically,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you
you're
can.
not going to spend that opportunity with the parents trying to say, "Hey, I'm trying to get out of this." They're
Yeah.
more interested at that
Definitely
point.
a bad
Their
look.
child.
Yeah, definitely a bad look on your end.
Yeah, what are your priorities at that
They-
point?
They're gonna expect you to be there, like regardless.
Exactly.
That's awesome though, man. Congrats on getting that. That's super dope.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to it.
Real quick, just you did park and visitors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it said visitors. It didn't say reserved.
No, it says visitors.
Okay, I just want to make sure because this apartment complex is stupid. They put 4 visitor spots right next to 4 reserved spots.
Okay. I parked at the very first corner, right by there.
Next to a Miata.
Yeah.
All right, you're fine. By the way, the Miata's mine.
Oh, is that yours?
Yeah.
The white one? Oh,
I got it as a project car, and then, I got it in December, so then it was just like super cold, and I wasn't able to drive it because the back window, it's so soft top, and the back window's blown out.
Yeah.
So, it's mad cold during the December months, and then it froze over, and then it's been raining for the past month and a half. So like, I just finally like got it running again, and the battery's super shot. So I got to go buy another one. I'm frustrated. But that being said, large in part why I'm buying a house is because I've got the Miata and a motorcycle, just that I don't get to casually ride or drive because it's just a process having to undo the bike cover, put it back in the bag, make sure everything's squared away, as opposed to just like
Being
leaving
able
my
to leave
house,
it in
getting
your garage.
in the garage, and then just going from there. So,
Yeah. That makes complete sense.
yeah, man. I don't know if that's the best reason to buy a house right now, but unfortunately it's one of the top reasons. That and the kitchen thing. Been cooking a lot. So me, Evan, and it just started with me, you, and Kelsey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the pandemic, we're all just like single dudes out here, without families. So at the height of the pandemic, it was like rough, just stuck
Being
here,
home.
by yourself.
Yeah.
So I think it was about April, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, not even. We kind of,
Was it May? Or
well,
was it earlier than that?
we did St. Patrick's Day together.
Yeah.
We kind of just kept doing this, spend one day a week together thing,
Just
and
switching
then
off.
yeah, basically it was like and it was only between me and Kelsey's place because he's got like a studio, so just kind of
Too small.
to
Yeah,
host
bro.
people,
I gotcha.
and so we bounced back and forth, and then it just turned into like this really like weekly thing. We'd get together. I think it was like Thursdays, right? Something like that. Just be like, come over. I'm making dinner at 7. Get here eventually. Hang out, drink a little bit, have some food, have some human interaction.
Yeah, no, that's good. I actually missed that a lot.
Well, I imagine you're in a similar boat I mean, you are with your family, but you're with your family as opposed to the lifestyle of being, on your own as long as you were at Texas State, which was in total 5 years,
I think 6 actually.
6 years.
6, yeah. Because I spent 1 year there before getting into the music
That's right.
program, and then I spent 3 years in the music program,
Mm-hmm.
and then I changed majors at that last minute, and I ended up taking 2 more years just to finish out my mass comm degree. So yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, attaboy. Way to go.
Hey man, I would not change it. One thing I found was everyone's journey is different,
Absolutely.
and one of the advantages is I got to go through and make sure I really enjoyed what I was doing versus
Yeah.
one of those people that comes in preconceived saying this is what I'm going to graduate
Mm-hmm.
with, and then they do it, and then they're like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I should have done something different. That's exactly what happened to my mom. Was
Really?
she ended up getting her master's degree, and she was working on getting a doctorate in anthropology. But that last year, she was like, I have no passion for this. I really do not enjoy
She's about
what
to
I'm doing.
get a doctorate in anthropology, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, I hate this."
She was like, I'm done. Like, I just can't. And, at that point, she had already met who would be my dad.
Yeah.
And he was working on his doctorates, and he was like, okay, well, if you don't want to do it, I mean, don't force yourself to do it. Because they had already talked about how if they, end up getting married and having kids, she had asked him, do I get to be a stay-at-home mom, or are you expecting me to work? And my dad told her, whatever you want to choose is up to you. I'm not going to tell you what I think you should or shouldn't do. All I know is I'm going to work hard enough so that you get the choice.
All right.
And so she decided to stay at home because,
That's a real ass answer.
yeah,
Yeah.
my dad, I grew up calling him a dork my whole life, but as I grew up, I started realizing, dang, he does a lot that I didn't see behind the scenes, or I had no idea because I wasn't
Yeah.
born or aware yet. And he's got some pretty manly answers, man. Like, I think that's art of the gentleman right there.
Yeah, that's up there with off the top of my head, I can't come up with a more quality answer to that question. Yeah,
I was like, that
okay.
was a pretty good answer, actually. And so my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and that was by choice.
That's cool, man.
So her degree ended up not having to really do anything.
So she just has a master's in anthropology, just big chilling.
Yep, apparently she just has it chilling, sitting there. Maybe she vacuums it once a month. Who knows?
Dang. Okay. So you said that it's, how do I get into this? So you have like different levels of that idea of making sure that you doing what you want to, because you also started school later than most people.
Yeah, because let's see, I graduated high school in 2008,
Yeah.
and then I spent a couple years just doing various odd jobs around here in Austin. I was the manager of a coffee shop, manager of a restaurant. I went downtown a lot, and I would hang out in like studios and start kind of seeing what they were doing, mixing music with them. Sometimes even hopping on, spitting a couple freestyle bars with them, just trying to get into the music scene. But at some point, my dad and I had talked about it. And he said, "Look, if you get to this point," and he gave me some arbitrary date. I don't remember what it was, but he said, "If you get to this point and you're not taking off, right? It's just not happening. Then you're going to school. I'm sorry, but this is for your benefit, not
Yeah.
mine." And I was like, okay, that's a fair deal. He's giving me time, and so I got to hustle. But at that time, I'm 19, 20. I don't even know what real hustle is yet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, yeah, I'm getting there. I'll make it. And that date snuck up on me. I was like, oh, shit, I have to go to school now. I didn't even think about that. So I signed up for ACC, did that, transferred, and realized, like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. I'm going to get a music degree. And got into Texas State through the help of one very helpful professor at ACC who had some connections. And
Nice.
that's how we ended up meeting, I think, over there.
Yeah, that was is that
2013?
14?
I think I crossed 2014, so 2014 sounds right.
Yeah. Dang, man. That feels like forever ago. God bless.
2021, that's...
7 years? Just
yeah,
about 7 years ago?
that's about 7 years from, yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's been a long time, dog. And we during those, so I graduated fall 16.
Yeah, that's right.
So, over those two-ish years, ended up spending a lot of time together. And learned a lot of really specific stuff from hanging out with you. Yeah. And
Please explain.
and that's a really arbitrary statement, but like and I was telling Evan this before you pulled up. When Kobe died, you were the first person I thought of, and I don't know if I don't know if I texted you or not, but you were just like the first person I thought of because I remember I think at least 3 times going over to your place and you were watching that Kobe documentary. And it was always somebody new was on the couch and you were just like explaining it to them and just explaining like the importance of Kobe and like what was it about Kobe for you specifically that made him your guy? Like that's like there was such a deep relationship that you had like for him.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually do remember I remember exactly what you talked about, the documentary, these conversations. It's funny. I actually remember each one specifically. Um, and ironically, I'm actually wearing a Kobe shirt today.
Shout out.
Lakers are playing today, game 4 against the Suns in the playoffs.
Yep.
So let's go Lakers.
Let's go.
But for me, I think so. I grew up a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I grew up a Lakers fan because of my dad.
Okay.
So his grandpa was an immigrant. He was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan. So growing up, my dad watched the Dodgers. But by the time my dad was born and getting into it, they were the Los Angeles Dodgers. And when he picked other teams, like a basketball team and all that, he said it's a fit. You know, in the 80s, I'm a Dodgers fan. I might as well be a Lakers fan. Get to see Magic Johnson, James
Yeah.
Worthy, Kareem, getting to watch the Showtime Lakers. So
good,
it was a great time
good
to join.
time to be a Lakers
Yeah,
fan.
great time to be a Lakers fan. Great time to discover them, and it just worked out because he was a Dodgers fan first, and I think baseball is probably his favorite sport of any major sport.
Pause real quick. Mr. Broadstrokes here. Why do Asians love baseball?
I think my smart ass answer would be it's because of the statistics and the math involved. Because I know my dad loves math and he always talks about statistics right now.
Yeah.
I think really it's just the history of it because baseball was first introduced when sailors first made landing there. It's
Okay.
actually a true story. The first thing they taught the Japanese when they first landed was how to play baseball.
No shit?
Yeah. So they never knew about football or basketball until much later. But
Yeah.
baseball, when they first made contact with American sailors, was baseball. And there was actually an infamous story about a baseball game, an organized baseball game between the sailors and then the town that they happened to play with. And that was the first organized Japanese team, if I remember
Oh
correctly.
my God.
Yeah, and so for them, baseball has been there longer than any other sport that they could have gotten from any other country.
Huh. It's crazy the amount of influence that in like culturally the military has had on different countries.
On the world.
Yeah, just on the world, right? Like the Philippines murder at billiards because all the GIs down there had pool tables shipped to.
That's wild. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they had
that makes sense though.
because they they need something because again that was like the 60s. There's no like you're not sending them a PlayStation 4 to play on or like a Switch.
Right.
It's like it's either you're playing cards or you're playing billiards, and then like they're not gonna ship the pool tables back,
Yeah,
so they
it's
just
not
leave
worth
them there in the Philippines, and then all these some of the most top players in the world come from the Philippines, and I had no idea about this baseball thing either.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was kind of saying it facetiously, but that that makes sense. I mean, the only it's Japanese people and Japanese, Korean, and Cuban.
Yeah.
Are like the
Yeah.
number like the top 3 cultures enriched in baseball.
I think those are like the top 3 leagues outside of the
Yeah.
MLB.
Yeah.
Just like Chinese basketball is probably the biggest basketball league outside of the NBA. They
Which
have
is
such
crazy.
a huge following there. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so sorry. Continue. Continue about your.
That's right. Yeah. So I grew up a Lakers fan, and then for me, I remember the first time I really kind of watched basketball was probably Kobe and Shaq.
Okay.
2000 through 2003. That was like really the first time that I really watched it, and it was only because of like the playoff hype.
Yeah.
At that point, everybody was saying Shaq is, the next MJ, and Kobe is going to be the next MJ after him, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I didn't really get into basketball until college, actually, when I started playing.
Really?
Intramurally. Yeah.
Okay.
I started playing for FSA.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember that they did that intramural sports tournament with every other FSA in Texas, and we were so small in population. As far as membership, we had like 26 total members, and if you go to U of H or UT, they've got at least a couple hundred. Like the membership was
Damn,
that
for real?
different. Yeah, like
Wow.
we were like anybody that wants to play can play. They're having tryouts for a third line. Like they're serious. We had no idea, but I was like, yeah, this would be cool. This would be fun, and I found out I really liked basketball. So, in the efforts to get better, you try to look at the greats and see what they do. Maybe you can take some tips. And being a Lakers fan, I already had an affinity for just looking at the Lakers, and lo
Makes
and behold,
sense.
we've got Kobe Bryant, who I
Yeah.
heard is going to be a Hall of Famer at some point. So I started watching his film, watching some games to kind of figure out what does he do, and from there it just kind of took off for me. Like I started having a deep appreciation because as I researched him, you can see he's probably one of the only modern stars now who is very well documented. Because before that was Jordan, and we finally got all that film in the Jordan documentary.
Yeah.
But it wasn't widespread yet.
Yeah,
Think about it. Like in
yeah.
2000s and before, YouTube was not as big as it is now. So the widespread use and availability of just public film was not as available as it is now.
Yeah, even just like because you would get the playbacks on Sports Center, but there's no public
There's
like
no way
like
to control
no
it
way
and
to
just
like
keep going back over
rewatch
on
it.
your own.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so first thing for me was Kobe was there's lots of film on him.
yeah,
And I can go back on YouTube and you can manually, fast forward and hold it and then kind of go slow mo and really analyze the tape. But then he also was very widespread and open with interviews. He's very candid about that. He does a lot of interviews. If you Google him now, even you'll find like he's got not Jimmy Fallon. Who's the other talk show host?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, he does like a Jimmy Kimmel interview, and he's very open there. He's got some open panels, and he interacts with people directly. Like a lady, she's like, "I'm a cancer patient. How do you overcome it?" And he gave her the Mamba mentality speech. That if you're a Kobe fan, you know that one.
yeah.
But there's tons of just resources and things that you can go to talk about him that is open, and he talks about his mindset a lot. And so I started trying to adopt some of those things because around that time for me too personally, I was a music major.
Yeah.
And I was getting questioned by my professor at the time, Dr. Worthington, one of my favorite professors of all time for doing this. One day we were talking in a class, and he was like, "You're not really passionate about music, are you?" And I was like, "Wait, what? No, I'm a music major. You've got me singing, 9 different songs in 9 different languages this
Yeah.
semester. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm passionate at this
Yeah.
point." And he's like, "No, you're not, because every time we come in here and we talk, you never talk about what you did musically this week or your practice, how that went. You're talking about basketball and what you learned. You're talking about, the Lakers. You're talking about things outside of it. So you're not really passionate about music." And I was like, "Huh, that's a huge, huge discovery for me at that point." Like, so
Damn,
what's
what a bomb to drop.
yeah, like at the time it seems negative because your major, your specific purpose you think is to do music, but I'm glad he did that because it set off a chain reaction of events where I started understanding, researching Kobe. Why is he so driven about basketball that makes him the best? What's his mythology? What is his thinking and mentality when he goes in there? Right? Started testing me because I started comparing it to myself. I'm like, well, what am I doing? What do I truly love doing? What would I have no problem spending the next 23 hours of today doing, and that last hour just because I drifted off because I needed sleep at some point or I
Yeah.
needed to get myself a snack, but then hop right back on it right after. Right?
Yeah.
What is that thing that gives me that drive? And that's when I started understanding passion. And I started realizing what a lot of the other music students in the music building, why they were willing to stay in the practice room for that long. For me, I was like, dude, I cannot spend half an hour in this thing. It's claustrophobic. I
Yeah.
hate it. I get so bored just going over the same thing over and over
Yeah,
again
yeah.
and really not seeing myself make any progress the way I would want to.
Mm,
Right?
mhm,
I started understanding why people can be able to, like, why they sit there and try so hard. I started understanding more about my parents. My dad is a very, very passionate bowler. He has every score sheet, I think, from when he was 10 years old still.
Wow.
Because he wanted to map out his growth and his, what he was doing. He knows exactly when he's made changes. He actually changed hands. He got surgery. He couldn't use his right hand anymore because he was having shoulder issues. So he switched to his left.
God bless.
And he's actually left-handed too. He's like, I was taught and raised to be a right-handed bowler, so why don't I figure out what happens when I do it with my dominant hand? But he had to reteach himself that. The man breathes, and sleeps bowling. And I was like, why? I started understanding why. So that's why Kobe for me became very personal because, one, it was amazing because I got to witness the end of his career, right? Nobody
Yeah.
else has gone out with a boom like that,
Yeah.
right? He's considered one of the all-time greats. Like I think top tier. Everybody talks about him whenever they talk about Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
So one, it's really cool to say like well, I keep saying one. Also, it's really cool to be able to talk about that, like say like that's who my idol is, and he's actually pretty big within that whole like basketball arena. Like he's up there
In the
with
grand scheme of idols, like he is pretty like
top tier.
top
Like,
tier. What's the term I'm looking for? Well agreed upon.
yeah,
Like that. It's not a matter of like my guy's better than your guy. It's just like different.
I wouldn't even say agreed upon. I would say at least he's in the conversation when someone disagrees and they have
Fair
to
enough.
say he doesn't belong. Why? The fact that you just mentioned his name of saying he doesn't belong says that he kind of does. Versus if
you've-
you didn't mention him at all,
Yeah.
that's different. Some people are gonna like some people. There are definitely players who have been forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, I know there's like a. They ask people within the Lakers organization who their top five are, and Jerry West got really mad that Jeannie Buss, the owner of the team now, did not mention his name. And
Damn.
he did a lot for the organization.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think context, she grew up during the Showtime era, so it makes sense that she would only think of those Lakers and then Kobe
then
Shaq
after.
era and then now. You know, she
Yeah.
put LeBron on her
Yeah,
list
yeah.
too. So I think it's fair she said that, but I can see why people wouldn't understand. You know, not a lot of the casual basketball fans know Jerry West is the logo of
Yeah.
the NBA.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
pretty huge. And he's probably not on a lot of people's greatest of all time lists now, just because of age and how long it's been.
I couldn't tell you the last time I heard his name on a like most influential basketball list.
And he's big because he didn't just play the game; he was also a coach, a general manager, a president of an organization. He's done a
I was
lot.
gonna say I think he
behind the
did
scenes.
actually everything you could possibly do.
Yeah, and he's even got a made up role now. He's a team consultant, but like, what does that even mean, right? But he was responsible for the Kobe trade. Right,
Really?
he was the one that engineered that entire trade. He engineered the signing of Shaquille O'Neal. He engineered getting LeBron over here too, in a way. And then he moved to the Clippers now, and he's doing the same thing there. He's
Same thing over.
engineering trades, saying, no, this is what this player's worth, or this is what I think we should give you as far as draft assets for this player. He's making big deals.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like, what does an NBA consultant even mean? But he's clearly he's having
that.
a mark on the organization. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like all those things tied in, you know, how influential Kobe was, how personable and open he gets on his interviews and his film. You know, he even wrote books. That kind of is why he became personal to me, is because I started getting to understand the man behind the persona we all knew. You know, and I really liked his mindset, and especially like going back to that one topic where it was an open panel and the lady said she was dealing with cancer or something. She's like, how do you find the power to overcome adverse situations like that? Because you seem to have a win or not at all mentality. And he just told her straight up. He's like, honestly, in the positions I've been in, I can't lose. So the only option is to win. So when you put in that perspective, it's not a matter of I'm worried about losing. There is no other option. You have to win. And I started taking that mindset because, you know, that's kind of the same thing for a lot of people. When you become a parent, you're like, I can't do this. I can't raise a kid. Well, there's no other option. You have to.
Have to. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Or when
yeah,
you're in your job, people will say, yeah, you can walk out and quit. But look, if you need the income and you're in this job, you really have no other option than to sit there and do a good job. You might as well do a good job while you're there. You know, it doesn't matter how bad the job gets. I hated my job at Enterprise after a while. It just got so bad. But I still tried my best to do a good job every day because I'm there. I can't just leave. I might as well do the best job I can.
Yeah.
You know, and I started adopting that everywhere. And even now, you know, with me and Hannah, it's a lot of times it's that same kind of mindset. You know, we're trying to buy a house. It's like, well, do you think we should do this or that? I'm like, there is no other option. We're going to do this. I'm sorry, we're going to.
Yeah.
You know, or even starting a business. She's always asking, you know, how do I do this? How do I do that? I go, well, this is what you want to do. She's like, I don't know. I was like, no, Hannah, you don't get it. Either you do it and you have to make it work, or you don't do it and it's gonna fail because you didn't do anything. I think that mindset is helpful everywhere. For a lot of students, you know, I would definitely tell them the same thing. There's a lot of people that still like, you know, a lot of the kids still ask me at Find Me Alpha, what do I do about this? I go, do it. Well, what about our time? I'm sorry, you signed up for it. Now you have to do it.
Yeah.
So do it instead of wasting time complaining to me, talking about how it could have been better or how life is so busy and stressful and hectic. I don't care. Get it done first. Welcome to being an adult.
Yeah.
And I think it's one thing that we've lost here in society too, which is why I'm really strong about sticking to it. Because I actually just came back from seeing my grandpa and talking with him. He grew up in the 50s and 60s, and he went to the Vietnam War. So he was very
Damn.
much of that mindset of, sorry, man up and do it. And I know that's sexist and misogynist and all that now these days, but I think we've kind of lost that part of us too, where we understand, it's at the end of the day, I think it's just a phrase, but buck up and get it done. It doesn't have to necessarily be man up, but, get it done.
Just get it
Instead
done.
of complaining about how it could be better, how you could have a better opportunity or you should be treated better. You can complain about all that, but you're still not getting it done.
Yeah.
And that's what Tiger Mom was about at that time. I have a lot of people who ask me that because I'm Asian. They're like, "What was the deal with Tiger Mom?" I'm like, "Dude, that's a whole thing too. It's the childhood that I grew up with,
Yeah.
and I think minorities can all attest to that kind of mindset. Whereas you see a lot of kids now who don't have that. So that's why you have that's why I think. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm not a teacher, so I really
Yeah,
don't
you
care.
got it. That's fine.
I don't believe in No Child Left Behind at all. I hate that initiative because I think what it did is instead of raising the bar, it lowered the bar to let more people qualify.
Like with most things, the intentions
were good.
Were good.
The intentions were there. But I also don't think it's possible.
It's definitely not possible.
I don't think it's
the way they went about it was
Yeah.
definitely not the best road.
Well, I think actually, I think it actually goes counter to the idea of a capitalist market society. Because think about businesses, right? Either you succeed, like Amazon,
Yeah.
Microsoft, but with people succeeding, there's going to be failures.
Yeah.
Ones that get bought out, ones that don't make it. I think that
Yeah, man,
that's
but
the most
capitalism is
fair.
bad.
People will say that because there's so much to know just to get into it now. Yeah, I mean, even take a portion of it, taxes.
Yeah.
That is so not like advanced. I don't think it's necessarily advanced, but I think there's so many rules, there's so many loopholes, there's so many other criteria you need to be aware of. Like how much did you spend on health insurance this year? Also, did you make any charities? Also, there's so much you have to account for just to do your taxes.
Yeah.
Versus originally the idea was just whatever your income is, this is the percentage based on a scale, that's what you pay.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work like that because there's so many exceptions. Like if you don't make enough or if you make so much and you have it stored in an offshore account or you spend the money as a company versus as a person.
Yeah.
Right? There's so many different ways to do it.
I wish I remember a little bit better on how it goes, but something along the lines of like how Amazon doesn't pay taxes. Like should Jeff Bezos pay more taxes? Maybe. But the fact that he was smart enough to find, like, if you're smart enough to find the loophole, are you a bad person for exploiting it?
I don't even know if he's smart enough to find the loophole because the thing is with these guys who are so rich, they
just hire the best people.
They have they have the money to hire an accountant who knows these loopholes by heart.
Exactly.
It's his job to know that, and most average people don't have access to that
Yeah.
because I don't make that much.
But it has something to do with the fact that Amazon has like two outlets of income, and one of them technically doesn't actually make money. They lose money. And that's like the one that they file taxes through, so then they don't pay anything.
Yeah, so it's the same way that I think.
And that's why like toilet paper is like $2 for 30 rolls.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Exactly. No. So what it is essentially if you spend money as a business, as an LLC,
Yeah.
it's a expense under the business. So have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it, and I think that's one of those ones that like I meant to read.
Definitely read it because I read it and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really good, and it's really easy to read too. It's not a hard read. It's actually really easy and palatable, but he makes the concepts easy to get to understand. But essentially, I think what it is so like if you and I go and buy a car,
Yeah.
we're gonna get taxed because we had the money to buy the car and that's part of our income and stuff, right? If you go and create an LLC
Yeah.
or some company entity, and then you buy the car as the company, you can write it off as a business expense because
Yeah.
you're right. So like, let's take it a step further and say like, let's say you're starting a rental company. You're gonna buy real estate, and that's gonna be your business, right? If you buy the car under the business, if you go and send an email to a realtor saying you're gonna check out this property in Maui,
Yeah.
right, or LA, right, pick a nice vacation destination, right, and then you go and see one, right, and then you fly back. The car, the flight ticket, the hotel, everything is a business expense
All
because
tax
it was
write-off,
all
yeah.
meant for you to go and do business to further your job.
Yep.
But really, you spent one day in Maui looking at a neighborhood with a realtor. The other 2 weeks you were there, you were just enjoying life.
Yeah, you were being in Maui because
Exactly.
Maui's gorgeous.
Exactly. So that's what it is the loopholes is
Yeah.
if you spend all the money as the business, you can write it off as a business write-off. So I think that's essentially what Amazon is doing is
Did
they're
you find it?
Yeah. Basically, all they did, it's exactly what you explained. The big part is they had them carry forward losses from years they weren't profitable, and tax credits, and then investing in and having employment where you can invest instead of just give you straight money.
Yeah.
All those things contributed to them not really having to pay just because of tax cuts. They were like, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Cool. We don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
So they just kind of found those loopholes. It's a complex system.
Really complex system.
and that's what I mean. That's why I say like it's so complex that you have to know all of this first
Yeah.
to really take advantage of the tax system.
Yeah.
And I would not have known this unless I read a book from some guy who happened to give it to everybody. But the fact that you
Yeah.
have to find out the book's name, go and find that just to understand this, like
Yep.
that's wild to me. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
and that's wild to me.
And my hot take, let me get your opinion. People that don't like capitalism or say capitalism is bad are lazy.
I think that doesn't explain everybody. Because I think that might be one. Some people might honestly just be lazy. Like there's definitely going to be some people who are like looking to take advantage of that system for sure.
Definitely,
But
again, Mr. Broad Strokes here.
I also think there's going to be other people that just don't understand. the system.
Understand how to be effective.
Yeah. So
with it.
the way they see it is, first off, it's a different priorities.
Yep.
Right. They're more humanitarian. They want to do more to help their neighbor, which is not a bad thing. The intent is there, which I think is a good intent. But they just don't understand the system of capitalism and then the system of communism, I guess, in that sense, and see the benefits of it and understand that this is a more fair system or a less fair system for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think it's not a full understanding.
Dude, that's my most frustrating. I'll get back to the communism thing.
Yeah, to me, it's the intent thing. Like,
The intent.
A lot of people that believe in more things like communism or whatever, it's more based on, like you said, humanitarian efforts of trying to help their neighbor more, which is a good intention. It isn't as productive because you just literally don't produce as much. You're trying,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the way I see it. It's not laziness. Like there's some that are just straight up lazy. They're just like, I just want everyone to have the same. But there's also some that are trying to, help their neighbor more.
That's fair. I think you could do both. I think you could help your neighbor.
Yeah, you
I think
can.
you could
You
help
can.
your neighbor better in a capitalistic view. For the like long term.
It's the thing with like raising the minimum wage and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
it's those kind of things that are like you can still be capitalist, but also make sure wealth is like distributed somewhat evenly.
Yeah, like people that work for Bezos, could they make a little more scratch? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because Amazon employees make like.
Could they at least get health insurance? Yeah, yes, I'll agree with you there. But just people that I get so frustrated. Like I stop talking to them. If they're a friend, I'll all right, on to the next subject. If they're like, no, we should just be communists. I'm just like, I'm like, dog.
Well,
So what Google article did you read on communism that you think communism is the better way to go? Because obviously, if you're saying that you have no association with how the communist thing runs,
yeah.
and how how it ends up.
That's what I mean. That's why I say it's one of those things like people don't necessarily understand because if I never get into these conversations typically. I try to typically mind my own business for the most part because at the end of the day, what you do should not really affect what I'm trying to do with my life if it's just philosophical talk. But usually, what I try to do when it's something where I think it's a lack of understanding is I try to ask them questions so that they can start following the thread of what happens. Like, okay, so you believe in a communist society? Cool. So let's say, like, what do you want to do? Like a social program or some sort of enacting like a social. Like a social program to help people. Yeah, okay, cool. So how much money would it take to fund that? Where would you get the funds for that? Oh, well, we could all pitch in, right? But where are you going to get the fund? Like, how are you going to secure that? You can't just expect everybody to pay for it, right? Also, how are you going to build that wealth up? Where is that? Like, you're asking for money, but who's going to work to make that money?
Right.
What have you done that is a tangible product that we can trade or sell to make the money that's going to fund that, right? Cool. Step that up to the next step. Like, who's going, like, are you just taking it from, just like a lump sum that the government has? Because now you're taking it from other social programs or other things that are necessary too that you might not be aware of, like infrastructure upkeep or, military upkeep as well. Like we, here in the U.S., we're unique. We have a widespread world military that we have to keep funded somehow. Are you going to take it from there and, make them less prepared to do their job? Like where are you taking this from? Eventually they won't have an answer.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they'll keep following up. They'll go, well, we can figure all that out. No, I want to know because if you've got this great idea that this is going to work, tell me how.
Yeah, you're right. We could figure it out, but I need you to
you need to have a
figure it out.
Yeah.
Like,
solution.
And at the end of the day, I always followed up with, and by the way, you are assuming that everybody's willing to buy into this.
Yeah.
But the inherent flaw in that system is, why am I going to work twice as hard as this guy and get paid the same? That's the problem with communism. Like here, I think in the U.S., we're very fortunate that we have access to top tier education. So if you have a guy like Steve Jobs, right, who brilliant, innovative, creates Apple, why would you pay him the same amount of work that you paid a guy to fold paper to stick in that box as liner?
Yeah.
Tell me how that is even. Like at that point, the intellectual property or the intellectual, I guess, the way Steve Jobs thinks, that innovative mindset,
Yeah.
that's definitely worth a lot more.
Yeah.
At that point, he's creating more wealth for the country than the guy who can mindlessly fold paper. And typically what I've seen is the people who believe in communism are those people, the ones who do menial labor, or they're very, very in touch with, physical things, but they can't understand data or how the transfer of data is worth a lot, or any of those complex systems like data.
That's
everything is becoming digital now, which is why it's so hard to say anything. But everything is digital now, and that's the biggest thing. Is that's a lot of information you can send instantly. That's worth a lot more than doing something like hand weaving a basket or something.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm definitely generalizing here. The few handful of people that I've seen and met who believe in that, they're those kinds of people.
Yeah.
But
And that's what I mean when I say lazy is they don't have the forethought or the wherewithal to be like, why is Jeff Bezos more successful than me?
right. I honestly think that, yeah, it can be labeled as lazy, but I also think it's a product of our education system. I think education in the U.S. needs to be
dog shit.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's not dog shit. It's because it's better than the majority of the world still. But
yeah,
what I do think has happened is
when you get on the scale, it gets a little dicey.
Yeah, the quality of it hasn't. So when it was created, back in the day. I would say around the 50s. It was when we really started having organized education widespread for everybody.
Was it 50s or was it 30s?
Dang, it might be the 30s.
I want to say 30s.
I want to say 30s because my understanding of the standard level of the standard school education setup and process was to get kids assimilated to industrial jobs, like
exactly.
Working,
that's
working
exactly
on,
it. So the school system was created to create people.
First public school, 1635.
1635.
That's public school. That's different. Like that's just a schoolhouse. Like,
Yeah.
let me look for the actual answer.
but I'm not actually too sure. But I do know, like you hit the nail on the head. Public education was created to create people who can work within a system of working. So you have to think of the guys like Carnegie,
Yeah.
those guys, the Vanderbilts. That's really the guys who created it. And so the idea was they wanted workers who were self-aware enough that they could do their job effectively without having to bother them all the time. But it does not preach innovation.
Yeah, it's not
creativity,
conducive for you to be successful. It's for you to do
be successful within my system.
exactly.
And so that's the thing is the education system since hasn't really upgraded.
It hasn't.
Like when it was the public education I know is enough to help you find out how to live life as an employee. Understand the bare minimum of mathematics and arithmetic needed to file your taxes and understand how much money you need to buy and purchase something. But it does not teach you how to think of creative answers, how to, work for yourself, build your own business, be self-sufficient. It does not teach you that at all, and it hasn't updated since either, which is the problem.
Yeah.
The
It's
last
just gotten more and more kind of tight.
Well, they put more pressure on college.
Yeah.
Now there's a bigger pressure on getting a college degree, and I think there's a huge saturation of bachelor's degrees out there. To put in perspective, I remember seeing the guy who worked at Chuck E. Cheese, and I looked at the application for what it needs. It requires a bachelor's degree now to be the manager of a Chuck E. Cheese. And really all you're doing is making sure you've got the right money counted at the end of the day. You got enough tickets and tokens and toys to give out to kids.
Yeah.
Right? That's really all you're doing. It is
Make sure
not...
nobody's spitting in the pizza.
Yeah, and when my dad grew up, a bachelor's degree was a huge designation.
Yeah.
It meant you were a professional at your job. And...
Like, you were a manager of a legitimate company.
Yeah.
As opposed to...
Hey, Chuck E. Cheese is a legitimate company.
Chuck E. Cheese is, but I'm not trying to throw Chuck E. Cheese on the bus. I love Chuck E. Cheese. The pizza conspiracy is always an interesting one to follow too. But you've never heard of the pizza
You
conspiracy?
ever heard of that?
No.
So anytime you go and you look at the pizza they offer, like pepperoni,
Yeah.
the pepperonis never match. So the idea is what they do is whenever there are kids at their party tables who are done, they clean up. They take the whole pizzas that are left, put them all onto one plate, and serve it at the buffet again. Like, it's really weird. People take pictures of the pizzas at Chuck E. Cheese, and they're like, "Look, the pepperonis don't match. These weren't cut the same, or these slices across from each other are very different." And you're like, "There is something a little weird there." But there's no way. I don't personally think that that's a real thing.
Also, you're going to Chuck E. Cheese's. Like, what do you expect? Like, what are we expecting here, man? You're paying $5 for a 14-inch pie. Like, come on now.
But like, I used to work at Main Event. That was my very first job. I found out the managers of that job had to have a bachelor's degree. And
That's
I was like,
crazy.
Wow. So wait, you have to go to college just to do this? You have to pay how much in class fees, tuition, and all that just to become a manager?
And then what? You're making maybe $40K?
Yeah, exactly. And to that effect too, my dad has a PhD. That doesn't mean nearly as much now as it did when he first got it. When my dad's dissertation, you can still look it up. I think what it was an artificial intelligence. He created the program that combines visual stimuli with a camera and audio stimuli with a microphone. And he created the program that the computer uses to cross-reference and combine it together to know what it's looking at and hearing. It reads and understands what that is. That's what a PhD is in computer science back in the day, right? Now you think of a PhD now in computer... Right. It's kind of crazy, right? Like when your car drives and it has the camera that tells you where the lines are.
Yeah.
And then it knows to, pick up what you're saying with the microphone, but also let you know you're missing the line. He wrote the program that combined those two readings into one program.
That's crazy.
That's wild, right?
That's gangster.
That's a PhD. But not a lot of people give credit for what PhDs mean now. Any professor has to have a PhD to teach at the university level. I don't think a lot of people really understand.
Are doing that level of to your father, like.
Well, I think every discipline
understanding.
Is different. Every discipline is different.
Yeah.
There was one article that I read. I think it was a guy at Princeton, actually, or one of the Ivy League schools. He's a doctor. And he was saying, I don't think anybody who has a PhD should be called a doctor. If you're saying doctor, it should mean medical only. And I remember I kind of looked at it funny. I was like, well, hold on. First off, this sounds like a guy who doesn't understand what he's saying
Yeah.
because he hasn't really fully understood what a doctorate is. The term doctor now means medical, yes, but the term doctorate or PhD means you are like you not only are a master of your field, but you have added to it. That's what
Yeah.
the dissertation is you have added a new discovery
Right.
or something new to further advance that science or that discipline.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really understand what that means because of how little
No.
education has been emphasized in the U.S. And that's why I say, with a grain of salt, for anybody who says something that I might take as ignorant, especially right now with how the U.S. is and the atmosphere, with everything going on politically, socially, all of that, I take it with a grain of salt when people say they have strong opinions because I don't think the education was quality enough for them to really fully understand and grasp what they're saying.
Yeah.
There's no way that they've done this much independent research.
Yeah.
If they say they have, bullshit, you Googled something. And the first thing that I learned as a mass comm major is you check your sources. And I know for a fact nobody checks their sources.
Nobody
anymore.
checks their sources.
Nobody knows.
And if you did, your sources are like, if you have 10 sources, 9 of them are bullshit.
Yeah, it's hard to really just dissect through all of it and figure out, okay, what's a real source?
Yeah.
What would be an accredited? There's no way. There's so much data out there that's available. As soon as you hit enter on Google, it's first 3 are ads.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I still have people who I work with who I worked with at Enterprise and people I work with now in my new job that will just Google something and I watch them. They click the first one, I'm like, oh, that's an ad. That's just giving you what you think you want, but it's not what you were actually looking for.
Yeah. Frustrating, man.
And so I don't blame anybody at this point. I say the education system is kind of why not a lot of people should be where they're at thinking wise. Why not asking the why part, not really going down that rabbit hole because that's the advanced thought that society needs now with the advancement in our technologies and our procedures for everything. I think it's not the same as radio tubes and microwaves back in the 50s. It's a lot more advanced now. Your phone can do every electronic that I had to grow up with in the 90s. A Walkman, a VCR camera, what is it? The in Home Alone, the little
tape recorder.
Yeah, that little tape recorder. I forgot what it's called. It was a specific brand, but a flashlight, a ruler, a calendar, a laser
stopwatch.
measure, stopwatch. Your phone has all of that in one. That's pretty crazy.
Bananas.
And
Talk boy.
That's what it was. Talk boy. See, and that's why I like going back. I just came back from California to see my grandparents.
Yeah.
And that's why I really appreciate going back and seeing them now because they're 90, 94, and 92. So when they grew up,
They've been
none
through
of this existed. And to see my grandma pick up an iPhone and FaceTime somebody, I'm like, Bachan, we're Japanese, Bachan is grandma. Bachan, what did you use to talk to people when you were younger, my age? Oh, I had to write a letter. I had to write a letter, and it took 3 weeks to get it down the coast, just to tell your grandpa I love you, and here's some money for the train.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. We have wireless transfer. We're able to FaceTime and text and call instantly from the same device.
Yeah.
That's wild to me.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And on the same topic, I think we're also more people are I don't want to say dumb.
They take it for granted.
They take it for granted because I'm thinking about that letter thing. Like, I don't think I could ask a single one of my kids to like write a
Letter.
like a heartfelt letter, as if like you're writing your husband of 5 years and you haven't seen him in 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, write a letter that would like get any level of emotion across. To them.
There's not as much significance to that moment.
Yeah.
Like, if you could just send a text, like, I can just send a text and say
Yeah.
I love you, then you're done.
And it's not even I love you. It's some sort of mixture of emojis and
Right.
single
Yeah.
letters.
Or just the heart. Just a single heart emoji.
Right.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, as time goes on, comes the different levels of innovation, right? And then you grow with the levels of innovation. But there is something to be said about the quality of doing things. And I think that's why a lot of like artisan artisanal stuff is coming back.
Oh yeah.
That's why vinyls are on the come up since like 1980, 92 or
Yeah,
something
there's
like that.
tons of
Like
kids with
when
record
did the
players
CD
now.
when did the CD come out?
I don't know.
I
Something like
think
that.
that was right at the end of the 80s, early 90s.
So like people are realizing the appreciation.
82.
Jesus, really? Wow.
Yeah, that's right.
Teaser Republic.
That makes a lot of sense because
It
I
does
grew
make
up during the
sense,
90s, like Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears.
Yeah, everything
NSYNC,
was-
that was
yeah.
my time, and everything was a CD.
Everything came on a CD,
I
absolutely.
cleaned out my room the other day. I found so many CDs. I was like, I have no use for this. It's all available on Spotify now.
Yeah. But there is that level of nostalgia of like, no, I don't want to throw it away because it's like this is there's
I think there's something to be said of doing things the old-fashioned way.
there
Like handwriting is a big thing for me.
yes.
Like
Yeah.
that's one of those things. Not a lot of people really emphasize good handwriting now,
Mm-hmm.
and how it can affect your reputation in the workplace. Because you have to know more likely how to use a computer or how to use your phone to get through your job. A majority of my job is done on a laptop or through my work phone.
Yeah.
So when my grandparents write letters or they write birthday cards to me, they still write cursive. And I was fortunate that I got to learn cursive in first grade.
Yeah.
But I've got two younger brothers. The middle brother didn't learn cursive until fifth grade.
Wow.
The
Okay.
last brother learned cursive in sixth grade. And I was like, wait, how did y'all learn it so late? I learned it in first grade, and I remember for an entire year, they made us write everything in cursive.
Yeah, you got that book
Yeah.
of all the letters and like
And you repeat it. It's like the solid line, the
Yep.
dotted line, the
Yep.
solid line.
you have
Yeah.
the capital goes to the solid line,
Yep.
the lowercase goes
Yep.
to the dash line.
And I think it's crazy to me that some people that I know now don't even know how to write cursive. Their signature
I don't think
is
it's-
their name in print.
Yep.
And I'm like,
Or it's just like kind of lines.
yeah. And you know, the purpose of a signature is that's unique to you.
Yeah.
Nobody can copy it. That's why there used to be people who analyze handwriting, is to see, did they really write this check? Did they really write this letter? It could be like a threat or blackmail. It could be
Yeah.
like a ransom note. Like they had to analyze the handwriting. That's almost lost. That's a gone art. And it's kind of like the art of vocabulary. Understanding different different verbiage, different words, using correct nouns and verbs and adjectives in a way. That's a lost art too, almost. A lot of
Yeah.
people use the same words and a lot of slang in the workplace. And I'm starting to realize why that's inappropriate, because work talk should not be casual talk. No one wants to have a professional working that is responsible for, my capacity. Am I replacing your $30,000 roof or not? You kind of want to make sure that this guy knows how to read all the parts and
Yeah.
and make sure he reads your insurance policy correctly to make sure
Yeah.
your roof is covered or not. If you have a guy that comes up and just sounds idiot and like he's illiterate, I don't trust his judgment that my roof isn't fixable.
Yeah.
Let me get a second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a weird game that he and I play at being teachers, where it's like, and then, so like, we're teachers, but then also we're music teachers, so it's like, how much we can't fix everybody's English, because we also got to teach our subject, but then also it's like, no,
It's word.
articulate the sentence, son. Speak up. Like, there's all these little things that you try to adjust in between. You're like, this is a B flat. Now, so and so. Can you use your actual voice and stop mumbling to yourself? What is a B flat? No. Okay.
Yeah, what is that like as a teacher right now, especially with COVID? Because one thing I've been really interested in seeing, just kind of watch the news, is you're seeing a lot of the disparity between students and the economical status of their family.
Yep.
Not having the resources to just do basic, like, I think a lot of people talk about, oh, COVID was great. We just got onto a Zoom call on my laptop. Not every family has a laptop. Not
Yeah.
every family has steady internet.
Right.
As a music teacher, what kind of challenges have you had to deal with, or what kind of things have you seen as far as that divide and the difference between students?
We were super fortunate to start the year out as a hybrid of in-person and online.
Okay.
And I know for me, I got the extra advantage of the UIL rules, saying that if if they participate in the UIL event, they could come in person for that thing. So they can come in person for band, any fine arts, any sports, any like we have a really big Korean technology education program. So like you can't weld at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So you show up for your welding class, and then you could take math, science, English, your history classes online. So I was fortunate enough to where I only had one remote kid for the first 6 weeks, like fully remote kid for the first 6 weeks, and everybody else I think in total for again just talking high school percussion, out of the 23 I had, I think six of them were remote,
Okay.
but only one of them was true remote. All the other five would show up for their class and then bounce afterwards.
Gotcha.
So, and then for the middle school thing,
Yeah, I mean, I had 40 that were like out,
Sheesh.
so that was, especially because I teach beginning band all the way up to the 7th grade band, and the beginners, a lot of them I couldn't like teach them for a lot of that stuff because you have to kind of be in their face and like kind of work with them like in the moment. You can sort of do some of that stuff online, but none of it's ever perfect. It's never the amount of like
Yeah, like your trumpet slide's a little long. Push
Yeah.
it in a little. No, not that far. Okay, now pull it out. No, that's too far.
The
Like,
amount of fixing I've had to do, like when they come back, it's like which a lot. I think I only have like 5 left. But when they come back, I can kind of like work with them again. But yeah, I missed out on a lot of that like really in person kind of work you get to do, especially with music stuff. You have to be kind of in front of someone.
Yeah.
You can do some of it online, but it's not as
it's not going to
effective.
be as easy as just making
Yeah.
a spot fix there.
Right.
Being
Yeah.
able to hear it naturally instead of synthetically
Right.
through a speaker.
yeah, man, that was a big part of it. I mean, on the percussion side of things, you can't just give somebody like the kid that was remote. It's like, hey, take this marimba and practice your scales. Like,
Yeah.
but I had my buddy teaching trumpet, and he has a full microphone set up, and so that way you could hear it very clearly because he has to send off recordings for like he had to have it set up because he was getting his master's degree. So therefore,
He had to have a
he had to have
recording.
a proper recording so that way he would get his master's degree. So then when he starts teaching, he has this setup. But like the kids he's teaching online never once talked about tone because it might be you, it might be the
Right.
camera, it might be the microphone. Like you might not just be getting picked up at all.
Right. Yeah.
Damn,
So-
that's hard. Yeah.
So there's, I mean, I've been meaning to have somebody like that taught in Cedar Park or have somebody that taught in like Austin, San Antonio, where they were shut down for.
It's like some of them are still like
They're
only
barely
teaching
half
10 kids,
capacity.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
They
couple.
haven't fully reopened yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
What-
Well, shoot, most of them are done.
Yeah, they're done,
Most
yeah.
people were done with school on Friday. So I want to have somebody up there. I've got a homegirl coming up who taught elementary, and I think she was really not had an easy time, but elementary music is a little bit more conducive to online. Downside, it's you're trying to get 7-year-olds to
Pay attention and focus.
pay
up.
attention online for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But somebody that was, my boy Jackson down in Seguin, he was just drumming like the entire fall semester. Like he didn't get to do anything pitch percussion because again, you can't
Nobody
just like
has any of those.
nobody has a
Yeah.
vibraphone laying around at home to
See, I
where
was
they
gonna
can,
ask that too. Like, what did y'all do with like students? Like, because I know one of the situations that at UT, my dad teaches the iOS class, and not everybody has a Mac computer
oh
to
wow,
program on. So like when school is in session fully, not COVID, you can go to a lab that
You just go to
has
the Mac lab and-
computers.
Right.
Yeah, like at Texas State, we would go to the Mac lab if you
Yeah.
don't have that. But when they had to send students home, some kids don't have an Apple laptop to program an iOS app on. So UT had to buy Mac computers and send it to them. And ultimately, they just gave it to them.
Damn.
Because you had to finish the class and they canceled you in the middle of the semester. You have a right to finish, right? But one of the issues that came up was also because of COVID. It became a pass fail. Once you get to a certain point, you pass.
Oh
Right?
wow.
It was not like the usual class where you go through and you average all the grades. And what ended up happening was you had some people who abused the system, and once they got that pass,
They
cool,
Stopped.
stopped showing up, but
Yeah.
they got a free brand new Mac laptop out
Oh
of
my
it.
god.
Wow.
And my dad was so frustrated because he also makes it a group project to
Yeah.
finish off the semester. Your final project is a group project, and those kids who are pass failing and just dipping out, they would leave their groups behind to
Yeah.
finish up the app. So now instead of 4 people or however many are on the group, it's only down to 2, and it's like I can't do this all on my own.
Yeah.
It's a whole working app. Like, so how did that work for you guys as far as like instruments, supplies, right? Because like in person, like you were saying with percussion, like kids can use a marimba when they can go to school. But
Yeah.
at home, I remember when I was in middle school, I had a bell kit. That's not the same.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the concept is there, but format you can't do that on a bell kit.
Exactly.
There's no way.
I think it was just widely agreed upon with all percussion directors, unless like, you're in those Cedar Park areas where you could rent like either you rent it out from the school or the kids could go rent it from Straight Music or Music and Arts. It's like just drumming assignments, man. And it was what I did was I had these our online page. Luckily, again, also luckily, our district was already what is it called? Smart district.
We're talking the one-to-one thing, the Chromebook thing.
Yeah, everybody at the high school already had a Chromebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
So therefore, some of the classes were already set up to have online portions. So when it came to all online, you just had to like convert everything to online. So there was already that I don't want to say app, but that interface setup.
Yeah, it was like
Interface setup. So for us, it was just like uploading this etude, play it.
So you had a pretty solid system.
Yeah, it was. I mean, not a lot of education because because it was hybrid. I didn't have a chance to where it's like, let me just sit down and work with you. It's like, here's the thing, record it, turn it in by Friday. I'll give you some feedback, and then on Monday there's a new etude. Because I have to teach all the kids in person that are actually participating in the UIL show. I don't have time to like sit there and make you better. And there's a lot of kids that, if you don't know how to count to start with, like here's this eighth note syncopated etude. Good luck,
Yeah, I got you.
right? And
That would definitely be a struggle to try and figure out on
So-
your own as a high school student.
exactly.
Yeah.
To not be able to just ask, like, hey, how do I do this?
And then even more so on the middle school end of things, where
Yeah,
it's
because middle schoolers, you're teaching them that stuff for like the first time.
yeah,
They've never seen that ever. They've never been at like maybe some of them could figure it out a little bit, but it's the first time reading music for some of them. So
yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
that-
play a whole note. Play
That's a
like
whole nother-
like, what is it?
play your video assignment for the week is play 4 whole notes on concert B flat, turn it in. Oh, Met is at 100.
Yeah.
What is a Met? like,
Yeah.
there's
I
that's
can't
why
even-
that's why I want to talk to some of these people because I want to know what it is that they had to do.
yeah,
And
I'd be very interested in that.
and for us, we were fortunate to be hybrid, and so therefore the people that we were able to teach in person, we were able to teach in person. But the downside is that the kids that were remote,
They're not going to be at the same level.
they're not going to be at the same
No,
level, and we
they
didn't. We still had the full in-person class schedule, so we can't help them. So it was, it was definitely a rough year, and there's people that had it more rough than me. I mean, Evan had it more rough than me, and then there's more people that had it more rough than Evan. So, I mean, rough year. Luckily, it's we're on the come up. I mean, for our district, I think our superintendentship was like, "There's no remote, dog. If you ain't coming in person in the fall, you can go to a different district, like just
Yeah.
straight up." And obviously, he said it more eloquently than that.
Yeah.
But he understood that the kids that were remote, even the best kids that were remote, are maybe functioning at 80%.
Yeah.
Like they're getting 80% of what they could get out
They're
of.
not they're not allowed the full opportunity.
Yeah. And that's like the best, the best.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a majority of these kids that were remote, that started at 6 weeks. We actually made kids, unless you had like a documented health reason to stay home. Was it after the second or third? 6 weeks.
The second.
After the second
Yeah.
6 weeks, if you were failing, you had to come
No,
to in person.
third. Never mind, third.
Yeah, that's right. It was after the first semester. So after the first semester, if you were like bombing everything, it was like, yo, you got like grandma at home, or it's like somebody dying. Do you have an immune disease? No. All right, cool. You got to be in person.
Because some of them straight up, like I still have a couple of kids that they didn't do any work this
Yeah.
year.
No, they just didn't do anything.
And which granted, like we're not a core class, so it won't like keep them from like moving on to the next grade. But like, even in like the other classes I've heard, they like your math class, you didn't do any math this year.
And you expect to move up to the next level.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I didn't.
And that gets into this weird thing of the No Child Left Behind. It's like,
Because now what do? Like, you can't fail him, but technically he fails. And I think that's the thing is that's one of the things I'm seeing is the effect of it is people are going into the workforce not prepared to understand if you are not the best within your group, you don't get a promotion. It's not just a given.
yeah.
You know, that's one thing that I had to deal with a lot at Enterprise was a lot of people were getting mad that they weren't getting promoted. But I was like, but what have you done?
Right.
You haven't done anything.
You've been here for 6 months. Congrats, man.
Yeah,
Like, but
like I've been here 6 months too, but since then I've done twice as much. Like I've already turned in my promotion packet, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Wait, you have?" I'm like, "Yeah." So why do you think you deserve a promotion over me? Like, I know more about this company than you do, and I've been here 3 months. You've been here for like a year.
Yeah. Time spent doesn't really get you promotions. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are entering the workforce not with they don't have that understanding of it's not just going to be given to me, and so you're getting a workforce that doesn't know how to work.
Yeah, and it's it's frustrating, and talking more towards the fine arts thing, the issue that we have of like wanting to teach life skills, because you were a musician for a good part of your life. A lot of life skills get taught in the band hall and the choir room, but you have to be like actively
Engaged.
in that, like as both as an educator and being like, I need to make sure that this concept isn't only in music. Like this applies to
Everywhere.
X, Y, and Z, and you have to be able to explain that in such a way that they understand it, to where that they can then continue that level of growth. Like from the jump in with my 6th grader beginner class, I'm like, yo, we're gonna go over band stuff. Well, we're gonna go over. I'm probably gonna cover every single one of your other core classes. I'm gonna teach you some life stuff. You're gonna learn some math, not math with the TH is MAF, because it's kind of math, but not really. But just like stuff like that. And it's like, and people, especially like in the marching band thing, man, like it's rough go. It is a rough go being a marching band in Texas, but like, I'm not telling you to have a high standard for yourself because I want a good show. Yeah, it's nice to have a good show, but have a high standard for yourself so that way you don't grow up to be a garbage human being.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's so many people who, again, it just goes back to not understanding what it takes to succeed in the adult world or what it takes to perform at this level. There's a lot of things that people take for granted just because they simply don't understand how much technology went into it. How much thought had to go into that. It's one of those things that I think we're blessed with in the U.S. and college and the school system is that we're given such a wide amount of various subjects to learn. And if you're really observant about it, you understand that you can use things cross-discipline. You will use what you learn here and you can apply it elsewhere. And that goes back to why I became so enamored with Kobe, is he understood that. It wasn't just, basketball, basketball, basketball. He's looking at everything else and then applying it to basketball. Like his patented fadeaway, if you notice, he sticks his leg out when he does it. He learned that as a way of counterbalance himself to stabilize himself in the air while he's shooting by watching cheetahs and learning that their tail counterbalances them when they run. That's why when cheetahs run at high speeds, their tail leans the same way. It's a counterbalance. It stabilizes them while they're running at 100 miles an
Yeah.
hour.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
that's what he learned by watching that, and he applied it. And that's what I think you're seeing in the business world is the ones that succeed are the ones that are understanding you can use what you've learned here and apply it elsewhere. You don't have to stick solely to A, B, C process. That used to be the mindset, but that's changed. That's all out the door now. That's why you saw big companies like Kodak Film. They went out because they didn't understand how to transition into the new age and cross
Yeah.
discipline. They didn't see, the forthcoming of digital photography and how much more you could have with that.
Yeah.
Blockbuster went out of business because they didn't believe Netflix was going to be a thing. That's the famous example everybody talks about, but it's
Yeah.
a real thing.
Yeah.
What was Netflix? It was just UPS and Blockbuster combined.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. And
That's how it
and
started,
so
and now it's what guaranteed in just about every home.
yeah, exactly. Almost. I think most average homes have more than 3 streaming services now. Hulu, Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO Max, whatever you have, right? And that's something that the education system, unfortunately, I don't think teaches because they're still stuck in the here in math. This is what you're gonna learn in math. Progress here in science. It
Yeah.
doesn't. There's no cross learning or cross application.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it sucks that music isn't a core class or art isn't a core class because I think those things are really important for emotional well-being and mental
Yeah.
stability. And I think what you learn in there, it provides that spark of inspiration for math and science, right?
Yeah.
Math and science will give you the how to get there, but music, arts, that's the inspiration for why you're doing something.
Well, I mean, there's a reason why that A&M has the most all-staters in their concert band, and they don't have a music program.
That's wild. I did not know that.
A&M,
Wow.
yeah, they have the most all-state musicians at in their school, and all of them are architecture, engineering, pre-med, pre-law.
Wow,
Like it's just
that's
like
cool.
they just that they learn that level of work ethic that it takes for you to be an all-stater. Competing against 500 other kids, maybe what
5,000.
5,000. Yeah, I said that. I was like, that's not a real number. Yeah, like 5,000 other kids across the state
Maybe 50,000.
competing for anywhere from 2 to 8 chairs in the top band.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Damn, that's crazy.
So there's 2 bassoon chairs. So okay, there's statistically maybe you're going against 500, but there's 8 trumpet chairs. You're going up against 100,000 other so it evens out on the math side of things. But like all those kids are just like they get that level of work and the level of like practice and the level of dedication to a single task to be great at it, and then they become these monster engineers, these like scientists, doctors, what have you. And it's it's because they were taught from a young age that
there's a process.
there's
to
a process to
everything.
working. Exactly.
You don't just get it right away. That's crazy. I did not know that. That's good to know.
That actually, can you check me on that? I think that might be one of those bullshit things that I
No,
heard once.
it's definitely up there.
It might not be number 1. It might be like top 10.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, A&M has
No,
like,
that's still impressive that they have an astounding amount of all-state musicians, but they don't have a music.
yeah, and
program.
it's hilarious. Is they do have like concert they have concert bands and jazz bands that are like quote unquote community bands basically, where people just do it because they
They volunteer.
they were an all-state kid, so they bought this $4,000 tenor sax. And they're like, I still want to play it. So then they go to A&M, and the director's like, oh, I have all these all-staters that can play whatever I put in front of them. All right, here's this stupid monster like Masters concert. Why not?
Yeah.
Because you guys can do it.
Sheesh.
And all these kids are just like, oh yeah, okay. Well, I'm gonna go, study biology for the next 12 years so I could be a neurosurgeon. But yeah, you want to play the Mazlanka 3? Okay. But on that, I've been toying with this idea of how to get it in in these kids' heads of work ethic. And I started thinking about it when Bad Bunny released his tour dates and how those tickets were going for like, I mean, you were chilling with Elena.
Yeah,
Like,
something like 2,000, like was like the max was like
yeah. So for like floor seats were like
500.
like
Gosh.
yeah, 500 to 2 grand. Nosebleeds were 250.
Oh yeah, no the nosebleeds were like 500. Sorry,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so nosebleeds are 500 and then just go up from there.
Yeah.
So and it's like, okay, why are people paying for that? Like actually trying to like break that down. Like
And
why
understand, yeah.
like why would you pay for that? It's because he's created content at a high enough level that warrants people wanting to see him and wanting to get that experience. Okay. How did he get there? It's not just get like he has talent in writing the lyrics. Obviously, if he's not producing it, the people that he's got producing for him, it's the best people. Because
He's
again,
able to pay for the
like he's
best,
able to, yeah, like he's consistent enough in his music that it warrants people wanting to pay that much. Like I love who's a mild rapper like Snow the Product, right?
Okay.
Super solid rapper. She's great. I'm not paying more than like maybe $75 to go see her. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to take anything away from her and her content, but she, you know, she's not putting out as much. She's not as much of a cultural
Need
icon.
to see act
Exactly.
as insert someone here.
Yeah, as Bruno Mars on his 24 Karat Magic tour. Like that album was ridiculous. One of the best albums to come out in that generation. And that's why his, you know, those floor seats were $1,200, right? Because it was an experience and he knew that it was going to be an experience. So this thought process of like having a physical representation of rehearsals, because that's what it comes down to. It's like they're rehearsing at a high level. So therefore the performance is at a high level. Therefore people are willing to pay X amount of dollars
For this high level
for that high level performance.
Yeah.
So it's like this idea of putting rehearsals on a pay scale and saying the amount of effort you put out, perfect rehearsal, like $10. Bullshit rehearsal, $1. Right? And then at the end of the season, we'll throw a party based off of, and we'll spend 100%, like 100% of the profits go to you. So however much money y'all earned is how dope the party's fixing to be. If y'all suck the entire year, it looks like the directors are getting a pizza party. You know, like
That's an interesting concept. I actually like that for many reasons. Just that's really clever. Like I wish somebody had done that when I was in school.
you know, because it's
Because you earn your reward in that case. A
You-
lot of times the rewards they like people give are just kind of like it's like pseudo like awards. Like afterward, you kind of get like we got a pizza party afterward. We don't know how we got to.
you don't know how you got there, or it's like your reward is going to area. Area doesn't mean shit to a ninth grader.
Yeah, the
like
kids don't have that motivation.
like the
yet.
seniors, it's like, damn, man, you know, the past 3 years we sucked. It was
Right.
just super struggle bus, but this year we got it to area. A ninth grader, it's like,
He's brand new.
okay, so this is
So-
this- cool. Okay, we just have to do this longer. Like that's what it comes down to. But it's like, nah, the ninth grader earned $1 and the senior earned $1. That's what you guys gave me today, is $1.
No, you're giving them valuable life skills.
Yeah.
because, you know how hard you work in the real world is going to be indicative of what you get back. I think especially now, everybody sees Instagram and TikTok, right? We all see the lifestyle that some of these people have. Nobody sees the work about it though. No, like that's the thing about it is you can put forward the product you want, or the face you want to give people, but not everybody sees how much work it took to get there.
Yeah.
You
I used to talk all the mess about the, the Instagram influencers and the, and anybody that was a social media person
Mm-hmm.
until I started the podcast and realized like, damn son, like
This is a lot.
we used to keep a schedule of like, we're going to do 2 week. It's going to drop on Monday. It's going to drop on Thursday. We got to now where it's the end of the school year and it's like, can we drop? Are we going to be able to drop on Thursday? Maybe. We can drop on Saturday. Okay, we'll push it to Monday. And it's just like, God damn, dude, like it's legitimately a full-time job. Do I think that like there is skill in it? Yes. Is that as much skill as that what I'm used to? Not really. Like I come from that knuckle dragger.
Mm-hmm.
Like hard work is hard work. Like I built fences in like middle school and high school. Like that's
That
what
was
I'm
your
used
high
to.
school job. Wow.
Was building fences, putting roofs on homes, leveling houses. Like that's the work I'm used to. So it's like, okay, when I've dug this 6 foot hole, put the 10 foot beam in, mixed the concrete, poured it in there, leveled it out, and the beam is sturdy.
Sheesh.
That's when the job is done. Like that's what I'm used to, as opposed to now where it's like, and you sent me that laundry list of stuff to do. Like I read it and I was like, that all makes sense. That does not. I don't understand it. That all makes sense though. Like, but I can't like grasp it because that's not the style of work I'm used to.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, social media is very much a work where you have to hold yourself responsible because the job, it isn't like you've created a product and you're done.
yeah,
There is no tangible product that you've made that is now, there and doing its thing. Once I give a lot of credit to social media influencers, but also really to a lot of the newscasters who do it through social media, because it's very much they're keeping it up on their own. They're working hard, getting the story, making sure they've got all the facts done, and then they're posting it as like a podcast or a
Yep.
video or something, and then on to the next one.
yeah,
Consumers want another one literally 12 hours later. Like that's very much a job where you are holding yourself accountable.
yeah,
It's kind of like being a business owner, but again, it's that non-tangibility thing. It's as a business owner, you literally get the cash in your hand and you literally make a product
yeah.
and sell it. But as a content creator, there is no real tangible product. You're making videos, you're making podcasts, and it's a hard I had to explain what Twitch is to my grandparents.
Twitch is bananas.
Like, think about that for a minute and then really think about having to explain, okay, Twitch, it's a platform that people go to share themselves playing video games. Oh, okay, well, hold on. Let me take it a step further for you, Grandma. People pay money to watch people who are entertaining play video games and then talk about it live, kind of like on YouTube. Oh, you don't know what YouTube is. Let me tell you what YouTube is. It's a place where you can share videos. See, so what they do is they share videos. I had to go down the rabbit hole to explain everything, like social media first off, so she understood Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, all of that stuff. She had to understand it. And then she's like, well, how do you make money off of that? I'm like, oh, if you're popular enough, you can make money because people want to go to you as ads. So think, and I'm showing her videos of like, so this guy is playing a video game, and then you notice he talks about what equipment he's using, or this YouTube video, they're showing this house, and then they also just casually brought up this clothing brand they're wearing. Like I had to explain to her how all of that worked and how you could monetize it, and she's like, and people really pay money to watch this? I was like, yeah. And she goes,
a lot of money.
And she goes, and this is what your little brother wants to do for a living? I was like, yeah. He wants to be a Twitch streamer. And she's like, wow. Okay. Like, dude, that's such a foreign concept to her.
Go ahead and keep talking. I gotta use the restroom real quick.
I gotcha. But no, yeah, it's funny too because I didn't realize how much people can make doing streaming on Twitch until I started really researching it, because I remember my brother said it, some friends have said it too. They're like, yeah, I want to get into Twitch streaming. I was like, is that really a job though?
Right, like you're just kind of like entertaining yourself and just hoping like it like kicks off. Like
yeah, and like I was like, if it's a cute girl, I get it. they can get away with talking mainly to their fans, and I'm sure there's a ton of fans who are there not even worried about the gameplay, but more just interested in the
Right,
girl.
yeah.
But is there a lot of money in just playing video games? Like,
I guess so now.
and
Like if they're making as much as they have a bunch of calculators on this thing. I was looking at the top
yeah,
they're making like millions. Like some of them are like at the top of their game are making millions. I'm just like just from ads alone, this person making like $500,000.
God.
Like
That-
just from ads. Like
and that's one thing I was really glad that I learned in my college degree because I did mass communication specifically in social media advertising. And stuff like that. So I really got into the advertising part, and I found out how much money there is in advertising. Wow.
yeah.
You don't realize how many ads there are until you really break it down, and then you start seeing ads everywhere and understanding there really is a lot of money in this industry. Like,
And some of it's not even like straight up like advertisement. It's more like product integration kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this thing like I happen to be using this controller, and then everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna go buy that controller. And they want more. Like it's crazy.
it's why sports is so confounding and such an interesting topic to me too, because it's not just that I love my team or the play of the teams. What I also find interesting is what I actually find arguably more interesting of sports is the front office and the management, and how do they manage players and the contracts with what they say versus what the players say, but also how do they manage all of that advertising and all that money coming in, right? Like, I remember growing up, it was simply the Rose Bowl, the Super Bowl, right? Now I've grown up and I've seen the Tostitos, Super Bowl, the
Valero
Doritos,
Bowl,
Yeah.
the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange
Cheetos
Bowl.
Max
Yep.
Cheese Spicy Football Bowl. Like, there's so many
Sponsored by
names
Geico.
involved. Yeah, and think about it. Like, as a Lakers fan, like I grew up with the Forum as the stadium, and now
Yeah.
it's the Staples Center.
Center.
I'm thinking Staples Center. What are they nailed everything down? Like, what are they talking about? Like, what is it, like Staples versus like
Yeah, dude.
Staples
AT
Center?
and T Arena, Minute Maid Park.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, man, it's
like Wrigley Field, Yankee Stadium. I'm trying to think of the last
I think
arenas
there's
that
very
aren't
few
a brand name, and even Wrigley Field is Wrigley Gum,
Gum, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When I say that now, I'm like, wait a minute, Wrigley Gum, duh.
so that doesn't count.
Yeah, like,
Let's see.
Is there any?
I bet there's probably maybe some like small ones, but
The Mercedes Dome. I know Brazzers almost bought the Miami Heat one. It was up for bid, and Brazzers like put the biggest bid down, and they were like,
so for the NFL you have Lambeau Field, Paul Brown Stadium, and Soldier Field.
okay.
Those aren't taken.
Soldier Field, shout out to Chicago, woo!
Yeah, those aren't taken for. Let me see for basketball.
I don't know if there is any in basketball
I
anymore.
doubt it. Oh, Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden
Yeah,
is
yeah,
maybe the last one.
I
Yeah.
would say MSG is the last when MSG gets like bought by like Amazon.
Yeah.
that's when things are going downhill.
I think that's the only one that could buy MSG because
What's-
it's been so stabilized as like a
Well, the Knicks are the most expensive franchise.
most expensive
basketball.
franchise, yes. But then also it's just like I think a mix of because of that. That's also such a like performance staple.
Yeah, that's true. It's very historic because there's so many performances and ceremonies that happen there.
Yeah,
specifically.
and as like a performer, it's like, man, I sold out Madison Square Garden. Like that would be shit. I'm not an active performer, but that's still a dream. Like that would be so dope to play in front of all of Madison Square Garden.
Man.
God bless.
So out there.
Toyota Center, United
What's
Center,
the Celtics stadium called?
TD Garden.
TD Garden.
That's right. That's what it was. I was like, I don't know if theirs is actually a company name, but it is.
Yeah, TD Ameritrade.
TD Ameritrade.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. That's crazy to me is how, and it's funny because in basketball it's such a big deal when they started putting the brand names on the jersey, and it's literally just like one little patch.
Just a little one.
Whereas you go to Europe and you see the patches on there, like you see more of the brand names than you see the number or the name of the player.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was a really big deal with the UFC actually, and people are still actually really angry about that is because back in the day people were getting paid, fighters were getting like 100,000 a fight or something like not maybe not 100,000 but like some serious money per fight, and it was because of the banners behind them or what was physically on like
their
the
pants.
shorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to now, they just got out of the Reebok deal, and now it's a Venom deal, which is even worse. Like Reebok is, bottom of the three. You got Nike, Adidas,
Nike, Adidas, and then Under Armour, I think, are the
and then
top
Under Armour.
three
Yeah, so then not even
athletic
top
apparel.
three. So Reebok gets it, and then even less, Venom is just fighting gear. So you got a fighting gear brand sponsoring fighting, like a little bit of the snake eating its own tail. Like
Yeah.
it's not quite conducive enough, and that's why like fighter pay is, dude. If you're barely breaking into the UFC, you might get 10-10. So you 10 to fight, another 10 if you win. Like
Man, $10. UFC has gone really down.
super
I
downhill.
saw it.
But like imagine.
I can go fight on the street for more than that.
Imagine you win and you just spent, it's your first fight. You got to pay your coaches. You got to pay your manager.
You're
you
not
gotta
making
pay,
a lot.
You might be walking away with $4,000. And that's if you won. Like if you lose, like
Yeah, it's a net loss.
it's a net loss.
It's a net loss. You paid to lose.
Yeah, you paid to go get your ass beat on live
I
television.
get to do this again.
Best case scenario, you get to do it again in 4 months
Ugh.
if they rebook a fight. And yeah, on the UFC side of things, business wise, Dana White's making stupid money.
Oh yeah, there's so much money in advertising, and I think that's why it's such a big deal in college sports right now.
Yeah.
Is that they have that whole thing where
Yeah.
are they going to start paying college players for their
Mhm.
likeness and their name, and that's such a divisive topic right now because there's so many parties involved, and I'm not even fully sure how I feel about it yet because I haven't gotten to fully break it down, but because what I'm also worried about is the effects of it.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a reaction to the action in some way. So you can never really tell how it's going to fully play out. Like, I think the amount of players who didn't profit off of their name or likeness, I think it's not fair,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I also understand, like, they're there to represent the school, not themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And I always try to look at it as whatever you do for the academic or for the athletic side, think about it in an academic standpoint too, because whatever inventions or patents are made on the academic side, that's under the school, not you as the person who discovered it. So
Yeah.
my
And then-
dad did
and
that
it's-
dissertation, but it's not his. It's University of Texas's.
It's also this weird thing of you're able to fund like Stanford. I think double check me on this. I think it was Stanford. They just cut their wrestling program, and the wrestling program is the most winningest wrestling program in all of college sports, and excuse me, in all of college wrestling. But they stopped getting funding from Stanford football and basketball. So therefore, like wrestling's not pulling in any
Yeah, there's no
any
money.
money.
There. Yeah.
So therefore, basketball was funding that. And basketball's not making as much money. They can't keep up with the wrestling. So
Funding the
therefore,
wrestling.
now the Stanford wrestling program is no more.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
See, I didn't know about that. That's
yeah, it that part of the thing gets really dicey. The only argument that I've heard for giving students money for their likeness is like treating it like a pension, to where they're not getting paid while they're
playing.
It's if you basically get like this retirement fund. Like once you're done, and if you leave in 2 years, you get your 2 years money, but you don't get the money until
That works.
you leave
Yeah.
school.
I think that's
And that
probably a
makes
better
sense.
way, yeah.
But then the downside of that is like the argument within that is like, is everybody getting the same paycheck? And it's like,
And that's what I was worried. That's what I'm interested in seeing is because what's going to happen is you're going to have people who are going to want the more high visibility positions.
Mhm.
They're going to be less about the team success and more about individual success,
Yeah.
how they look, how their stats are. And it's really hard to gauge that against the one and done players versus the ones that stay,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, And one thing I've always thought was really weird too and interesting too was whenever you're given a scholarship, if you get injured and you can't play anymore, they can totally revoke that scholarship.
Exactly.
And I think that was the biggest reason for me of saying that's the biggest reason why to support it, because if I can play doing my job 1 year, have a horrendous injury, and I can't play anymore, you're taking away my right to an education now under the pretense of I was going to get a full ride, and now I'm not. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, we can't, like, I signed a contract with the understanding that I get an education, but then there's the caveat of if you can't play, you're useless to me.
Exactly.
So therefore, why am I gonna still give you that free ride?
And that's why this is such a multifaceted topic, and it's really fascinating to try and break down. And I'm sure there's tons of viewpoints, but there's so many involved parties.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time I've heard of the pension idea. I actually think that's a really good idea.
I think that's a really good place to start. I don't know where you go from there, but I think that's a good place to, like, because you also don't. But I mean, it's the same thing if you become professional, but you don't want this 18-year-old kid to all of a sudden have $30,000.
Oh no. No.
But then you have Allen Iverson, who had 1.3 million or whatever he had, because he did. Did he do 1 year or did he sign right after?
I think he signed right after.
Can you double check that? When did Allen Iverson sign to the NBA?
I think he was one of the few that signed right after.
I believe he was actually one of the last. Now that I think say it out loud.
I think LeBron might be the last I know of.
Yeah. So he got drafted in '96. When did he graduate high school?
No, delete that.
Boom, boom, boom.
Because he might. I don't remember. He might have gone to college because I remember
College basketball.
Yeah, he had that controversy.
Georgetown. So he did 94, 95, and then he get drafted in 96.
So yeah, 2 years.
So 2 years.
Okay.
So Iverson
That's what it
didn't.
was.
So I guess it would have been LeBron.
LeBron had to be the last one.
Last person to go from high school. But even then, okay, so he 96, he's 20. How much was his contract?
For let's say probably period.
Let's see. $70 million contract extension. A 6 year, $70 million.
Trying to see what his first.
What was his first contract?
Hey, y'all keep talking.
Yeah,
he was probably on a rookie deal of some sort.
So yeah, rookie deal. So maybe
But I don't remember because the CBA was different back then. That was because now they've got rookie contracts and then like a minimum and a maximum you're allowed to offer.
Yeah.
The idea was to try and create some sort of parity in the league so that smaller markets could keep their bigger players.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't ever hear of 6 year, 70 mil anymore. That they don't do 6 year contracts from what I know. I think a supermax can only go up to 5. So I'm not too familiar with how the contract works. And
So it was a 3 year, 8.9.
Okay.
8.9.
still, man.
So that's
But at 20.
yeah. So he got $2.2 million at 20 years old.
That's some ridiculous.
What?
That's ridiculous.
What do you do with that? Like.
I mean, I know what Allen Iverson did. I know what basketball players are doing.
Exactly. It's like
it's too much.
That's a really like straw man argument when they bring that up with the college thing. Is just like you can't give that 18-year-old that much money. It's like, well, baseball players get that much money when they're 19. That basketball players get that when they're 20. Like, what's the difference? If they're gonna make poor choices, they're gonna make poor choices. Either way, like that's why like the pension thing makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Still give them the full ride. Still give them like per diem, blah blah blah. To make sure that they can, train and go to school. But
I'm gonna say still have an expectation that they go to school too.
yeah, still have expectation.
I think that's the thing that I would pick on is the reason why you don't give them the money right away is because the expectation is they're supposed to play and finish out school.
Yeah.
If you give them all this money, that's too many distractions for them not to finish school or
Absolutely.
play at their hardest, and then they're not even going to make it at a professional
Bro,
level.
you give me anything north of $50K, I'm buying a Beamer. Just instantly. I'm 18. I don't. What else? I'm buying me some shoes and I'm buying me a Beamer. What else do I got to buy? Buy a laptop. All right, maybe maybe spend $2,000 on that. What else do you need to buy at 18 years old? If you already got a full ride, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, if I'm thinking at 18, if I was 18, I would have bought like a full gaming setup already.
Yeah,
Give
exactly.
myself 2 big screen TVs on the wall.
Yeah, you're not.
Also, let me buy a wall.
I need a ball to
Right? It's yeah, you're right, man. That conversation of college players getting paid is such a multi-level, multi-spectrum
There's
conversation.
so many arguments involved in that, and it's not an easy problem to fix. Honestly,
It really isn't.
especially with the way everything is set up, and it really goes back to what is the main priority. And I think the main priority should be to give them an education, but that's not what it is in practice. We all know that. Like, the reason why they're getting, invited to the school essentially and recruited is to bring in the advertising money for the university, but the university won't say that. It's one of those things like, in any job, you're going to be told this is why we do this, this is the corporate policy, and this is why. What on paper is very different from in practice.
Yeah.
And you can't say that, but we all know, right? There's always the ulterior motive of what the company really wants.
Yeah.
And that amount of money to an 18-year-old is just, wow.
It's bonkers. Dude.
Yeah.
Even now, I'm fairly financially stable. If you just gave me $2.2 million, I'm screwing off at least $1 million. Like maybe 500. Okay, I think I would probably chill out at 500.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let me buy a couple. Like, I would like to think the first thing I'm doing is paying off the loans.
Of course.
But I know that's not. But truly speaking, not the first thing I'm gonna do.
What?
Like, first thing I'm doing is I'm probably hitting you up and be like, we're going to dinner. Where are we going? Shut up, we're going to dinner. And I don't know where we're going, but like I'm buying like
Whataburger.
I'm buying something.
You get large fries.
You know what? I'm gonna treat you right. Let's get you an extra large Coke too.
Or just sitting at Whataburger and just being like, just keep swiping the card. Everybody that comes up, just keep swiping it. Just,
that'd be cool, doing something
right,
nice.
right. Just like post up for an hour and just buy everybody that pulls up food. Like, but yeah, eventually I'll pay the loans. I know I will. But the very first thing,
You stability and then investment, and then you start to spend.
Facts. That's
no,
what I
no,
would
you're
do.
right. That's what you're supposed to do. But just like I've asked this question in different forms, but like when you're actually presented with that opportunity, you're probably not gonna do the right thing the first, like.
No, because you've got so much wiggle room and potential to do
Exactly,
whatever you want
man.
at that point. But I
You
think
give me 2.2, I'm gonna invest 500.
it's like those people who win the lottery. Like, if I was in that position where I won the lottery, I know the first thing I would do to treat myself, and then at that point I know what I would do to invest and make that money
Yes.
grow, so I don't have to work as hard anymore. Because there's so yeah, you could do so much with that money, but once you spend it and it's gone, and you have nothing, you're gonna hate that you
Absolutely.
because it's such a huge opportunity. I think that you could do so much with it to make yourself more stable in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that's a wasted opportunity. And again, it goes to that education thing, that mindset of do you know how to be smart with it and understand how to get along in the society? And man, that's one thing that I'm picking up on these professional athletes is they're going back and getting coached. They're taking classes on how to manage their money, how to manage their brand the right way, and it's the smartest thing they could be doing. Honestly, like with that money, like LeBron is set for life now because he knows how to brand himself and how to invest wisely or pay the right people.
And luckily, I know I'm not that gluttonous. That's why I say like probably like I say 500, and that's being a bit much. Honestly, like
No, because I would do the same thing.
maybe 100.
I agree with you. Like the first thing I would probably do is I would buy myself a new car.
Yeah.
I don't have a car right now. I sold mine, so I just getting a car right now is like the goal. And if I got $2.2 million, yes, I would definitely buy myself a nicer than usual car.
I'll just go buy let me just go buy because that's a different level. Like when we first got our paychecks, like it was different. The first paycheck,
Yeah.
you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I could actually just go buy. I don't have to like calculate my Whataburger menu, my Whataburger order. It's just like, no, yeah, let me get the what size. Like, I don't got to worry about that extra
Or when they ask you,
$3.
do you want the receipt? Nah.
Nah,
Screw it. I don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Charge this.
Like, and you expound upon that. Like, let me just go let me go to Foot Locker and buy 3 pairs of shoes and not think about it.
Not even worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, like just be like, as opposed to going to like Foot Locker and be like, I have enough money to buy 1 pair of shoes. Let me like, this is the one that I like the most. It's like, this is the one I like the most, and let me get the next 3
The
that I
next
kind of
3
like.
on my list.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. Like I just got paid finally because between quitting my old job and starting my new one, there's like I didn't expect any paychecks. First thing I did, I finally was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy myself some new clothes. I do need polos for business casual, but I was like, I don't have to go to Target. Let's get myself some Lacoste ones.
There you go.
Right?
Exactly.
Boy, treat yourself.
A little bit like,
But I was like,
I'm gonna be responsible, get the clothes that I need, but let me get
But
the
the
ones
nice
that
ones.
I want to. Like, let me get the ones that I
the
actually
ones that I
wanna
would
get.
like to wear.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. Like I feel you. It's hard too because I'm trying to save money for a house with Hannah, and it's like, oh, should I buy these polos though, or should I like? I know it's only like a difference of a couple tens of dollars, like, but it adds up.
That adds up quick, man.
And if you get that huge lump sum, well, now you're just playing with bigger toys. Like, ooh, do I get myself, a Lamborghini, or do I stick and say I'm just going to get a Corolla because it's sensible?
And, it's like
Yeah.
you got a 3-year, $8.9 million contract. You could screw around the first year and know that you have 5.7 coming.
That's why with Derrick Rose and his shoe deal,
Yeah.
it was crazy. Like how he profited off of that. I think it was a blessing, and it sucked for the company. I think it was Adidas he signed with,
I think so.
but they had him signed for the next 7-8 years, and he injured himself that first year. Still making how many millions? Like, I think that's the other part of it that you see with athletes who spent it and wasted it is the idea of, well, I'll just keep playing and I'll just keep making more. It's
Yeah.
awesome. But there's a point where it ends, and it's like you needed to have been smart at some point with it.
And, God damn it, Derrick Rose.
He's coming back, though. Have you seen him in the playoffs
Yeah, but
lately?
he's not at the Chicago Bulls anymore, dog. He's not.
Bro, you're a Bulls fan?
Yes, I'm
I
a
think
Bulls
we've talked
fan.
about this, and I felt
We
bad
always
for
talk
you.
about this, and you always rip on me. And it's
No, I don't rip on you. I just feel bad for you. It's different. Like if you're a Celtics fan or a Clippers fan, then yeah, I'll rip on you. Like Clippers fan, come on. I think somebody, dude, this made me laugh so hard. Actually, I was on Lakers Reddit, and somebody asked, "Hey man, is there really any Clippers fans in LA?" And everybody's like, "Nah, there's no Clippers fans in LA. If there is, they never come out into the sunlight, or they're not from here." And I was like, "Oh wow!" And I didn't hear any argument against any Clippers
everybody's
fans
like,
about that. They're
yeah.
just like, actually, this guy might be onto something. Like, I'm a Clippers fan, but I'm out here in Minnesota. I'm a Clippers fan, and I'm out here in Seattle. Like, they're not in LA.
They're not in LA. Dude, it's just hard being a Chicago fan in general. We're always wildly mediocre.
Hey, but at least y'all are historic and y'all are known.
Yes. Every team has won a championship.
You can't say that about some of these other teams.
Holy shit, every team's won a championship. Yeah.
Have the Bulls won a championship?
Yeah. Is there any other city that every team has won a championship?
Yeah, LA.
Shut up. Even hockey?
Yeah, we had Wayne Gretzky on the LA
Oh,
Kings,
damn
man.
it, that's right.
Actually, LA, I don't know that one for sure because there's so many teams in LA. Like LA Soccer, I don't know if you would count that.
Nah, soccer doesn't count.
LA Rams, have they won one? I am not a huge football fan, so I
Rams
don't know.
have not.
I don't think they have. I take that back. LA might not have. Texas is
Cowboys, yes. Texans, no. So already off.
Boston has won every.
Boston makes sense.
Yeah, they've been there forever. Are you sure? Because I think, okay, if you divide it, Dallas has the Mavs and the Cowboys, and the Mavs have
Dallas,
won.
Mavs, Stros,
Stros are in Houston.
So these are the
Rangers.
So you got New York, Boston, Chicago, Detroit, L.A., Philadelphia, and D.C.
Okay, yeah. So LA did, yeah.
Those are the
Have won the 4.
they won the 4: football, baseball, hockey, basketball.
Okay. Hey man, I'll take it. Chicago's in there. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't think because Texas is so big. I would have to divide it by city, and I don't
Yeah.
think every city has.
Definitely not.
That's an interesting statistic. I've never thought about
No,
that.
I
Before.
never thought about that until right now.
That's
That makes sense. Boston and New York.
because they're just so historic. And
Yeah,
old.
they just been some of the longest running programs ever. Yeah, LA is off on the hockey. Really? LA's off on the hockey?
Well, so if you scroll, this is the one that Boston beat. I think.
Yeah, but here are the cities whose teams Boston beat to win championships. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's a different
Gotcha.
I don't know what these are.
Overall champions in that time. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Boston's great. Blah, blah, blah. Shut up, Boston. No one cares.
I had a coworker from Boston, and me and him would butt heads all the time. And it's funny because he wasn't even a Boston Celtics fan, but I would just shit on him so much from being from Boston. He was a Heat fan, so
Man, you want to talk about a drop off from year to year? The Heat making it all the way to the championship and
Yeah,
going
and
to
then
Game 6 and then getting
swept this year.
washed in the first round to who was it?
The Bucks.
The Bucks.
The
Yeah.
Bucks came out serious, and they were not playing this year.
Well, it's because I similarly the Bucks got washed out last year. They were supposed to be the golden egg, and then just like did wildly mediocre in the bubble.
They were underwhelming, yeah.
Yeah.
No, this year I actually like the NBA this year because for once the East is actually competitive, and I think for the
That's
longest
fair.
time you had really it was just the West, and a lot
Oh,
of people
yeah,
were looking at it as who cares what happens in the East? The best team in the East isn't even close to our 8th seed in the West. Like
Yeah.
that's how I felt about it for the longest time, and now you see these Goliaths in the East like the freaking Nets. Jesus,
I hate the Nets.
the Nets just. Yeah.
I would say the same thing with Clippers. I don't think there's anybody in New York that's a Nets fan.
I mean Brooklyn, really.
Brooklyn doesn't count.
I think there's a lot of people in Brooklyn who are, but the thing is, because of how popular the Nets are now, I don't know if it's bandwagon or if they've been historically Nets fans.
Definitely,
That's the hard part.
bandwagon.
Because
Yeah.
I think it has to be because if you remember, they used to be the New Jersey Nets, and if you're
That's-
from Brooklyn, if I know
Right.
correctly, you don't like Jersey at all.
No,
exactly.
exactly. So like, that must be a hard thing if you were an OG Nets fan. Like, I wonder if you left.
Yeah.
Because like,
Probably.
I couldn't imagine being like, because that's like being like a New York Jets fan. Like, you're not a fan because they win. You're a fan because that's where you come from. And then the team leaves your city. They leave Jersey, and then they go to Brooklyn of all places, and you're just like, now they're just buying everybody. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I don't
Like,
think I could be a
that's-
fan. I don't think I
yeah,
could be a
that-
fan anymore.
And man, that'd be such an. I would love to talk to somebody from Brooklyn and just kind of see what their insight is on that because that's almost as bad as like. That's like if the Dallas Cowboys moved to Oklahoma. I think so many Texas fans would be so mad. They'd be like, "Wait, Oklahoma."
Yeah.
Like there's this animosity
Yeah.
between Texas and Oklahoma. Like that's a
wouldn't
rivalry.
that wouldn't go over well.
Nah,
Yeah.
but with the
You would
Oklahoma
fight.
Thunder,
There's
think
people
about it.
dying.
Yeah, like, do you maintain like the loyalty to the team, or do you say, "Oh, dude, fuck it, it's Oklahoma"? I'm done.
Can't do it. Can't do it no more. I don't think you could.
Oklahoma Cowboys would not move.
Would it be Oklahoma or would it be Oklahoma City? Because it's OKC.
It would
Thunder,
probably be
right.
oof.
Oklahoma City Cowboys.
OKC
OKCC.
OKCC. That just sounds like community college, and that's what it would feel like.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder if there's any like original Nets fans.
That's why I'm so plagued by the Nets fans now. Is you don't know who's a bandwagon or who's following the player, or there's so
I don't
much.
think you can be like.
And you know, as a Lakers fan, for me, it feels a lot like last year and the Clippers.
Yeah.
You know, they made 2 huge moves and got Kawhi and Paul George. And then I heard so much flack from Clippers fans about this is our year. You know, you saw all the ads. It's not about this. It's not. What were they saying? Like, there's a new king in town.
Yeah.
Street lights over spotlights. We over me. Right. And like they're trying to rebrand LA.
Huge campaigns.
Yeah, and-
basically just against LeBron.
You know, the thing about the Clippers that I hate the most is it's almost like they want to be the Lakers.
Oh yeah.
You know, they're buying the Forum right now.
Really?
Yeah,
Are
the
they
the
really?
Clippers are buying the Forum, and their plan is to demolish it and put up the new Clippers stadium there. Right, and it's like, wait, the Forum that's historic for Lakers fans.
Yeah.
Now, why the Lakers ever left, I personally don't know that because I wasn't around for that time. I know they got into Staples Center. That's where they're at now.
I think it's a size. I mean, it's probably
I
a
think
size
it's
thing.
probably like more seating
Yeah.
and just an updated building, right? But I've always felt like if you were really, you know, a Lakers fan, why would you not just stay at the Forum and update it,
Or I'm surprised the Lakers didn't buy it, and that's where G League's at.
right? But I wasn't around for that time, so I don't know how that worked out or what was going on the back end or how much it was going to be. But yeah, like the Clippers, they're buying the Forum, and then
That's
they're going to demolish
crazy.
it and just defile it with all this Clippersness. Ugh.
With all those Clippers. Dude, speaking of basketball, I actually made a bet. Well documented. I think it's well documented here that I'm a degenerate gambler. Yeah, with all the UFC ones, yeah. Degenerate gambler. I'll
Okay.
bet on anything. And I've got a group chat, and Jay is in there. And he's one of the few people that will actually bet with me on things. The last bet we had was who would seed higher in the playoffs, at the end of the season, before the playoffs. And I'm so angry. Spurs. He obviously he's a Spurs fan, I'm a Chicago fan, and Spurs got 1 seat higher. I'm so angry, so angry. It is such a weird bet. We only bet $30.
Still,
Yeah.
I mean,
He also bet me $100 that Trump would get reelected. Yeah,
did you win that
I
one?
won that one. Yeah, but over the like continuous levels of betting, I think he is now plus $20 on me. Yeah, bitch.
I gotta take y'all in on this, I guess, because
Oh, dude, no, I'll bet on anything. I'll
Spurs
legitimately bet on
really a
anything.
Spurs versus Bulls bet, really?
Hey, bro, it's just a bet of what used to be. That's all it is.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of when Cartman is trying to get into the Special Olympics. That episode. He's like, "Wait, you can win a gold medal here?" I'm sitting here like, "Wait, they're betting as Clippers and Bulls? I think I can get in on this."
Hey, look, all right.
This is
It
easy.
would be a different bet for you. Obviously, we both knew that. Well, now he was talking all this shit about who would make playoffs, and I was like, "Yo, it's different because West and East, and like divisions are in different levels, so that's why we ended up with seeding." No, it was. I don't remember how we ended up with seeding, but it had something to do with like the way we started like talking about the bets. But yeah, obviously LA is gonna seat higher, so I wouldn't make that bet with you. I'm a degenerate gambler, but I'm a smart gambler, relatively.
I mean, honestly, the way the Bulls look, speaking, because I say I'm a Lakers fan, but really I'm an NBA fan who favors the Lakers, and I say the Bulls are not looking bad right now.
If everybody stays, and we get like maybe 1 or 2 more players.
I don't even think you need 1 or 2 more players.
Actually, no, you're right.
I
No,
think
I
they
think
just
everybody
need
needs to
time to
stay,
grow.
and yeah, everybody's like fresh out.
Yeah, like Zach LaVine he's one of my favorite up and coming players. I think he needs to learn how to play defense, but
I
in
mean,
a shooting
he's
guard-
6 years in the division,
yeah,
and
I think
he's
he
putting
does
up.
his job well. He scores. That's all
Yeah,
you need him to
he's
do.
putting 30. I think he averaged 29 points this
Something
season.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Laurie Markkinen. I want to see how he pans out.
I don't know why the Magic gave up.
Vucevic.
Yeah,
I think it's because they're trying to get into a rebuild or trying to get younger pieces. He didn't fit their timeline.
Really?
It makes sense. You know, they're really banking on what's his name? Their small forward. I can see his face too.
Magic small forward.
I forgot his name, but they're banking on him.
Really?
And then I think the trade from Vucevic, they got Wendell Carter from the Bulls. He's a center who fits the timeline
Oh, okay.
of the Magic better. And I think that's what they're doing is they realized Vooch is probably at the point where he Jonathan Isaac, that's who it was. So Jonathan Isaac is the guy they're building around. I believe they also bought Markelle Fultz, who was the number 1 pick that the Sixers got, and then he had a shoulder issue, and he never figured it out, and so they dumped him. They said he's a bust. So the Magic cashed in, so they've got another young player now. Vooch is, 30, 31, 32 or something? He's at the point where he is trying to compete for a championship now, and so they're like, cool, we'll trade you. We can get Wendell Carter, who is a high potential center as well. He fits the Magic timeline.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Vooch is a little bit of a older player comparatively to everybody else. Like the second oldest player, I think, is like starting wise is Zach, and he's maybe.
But I think that's what the Bulls needed was somebody who had that veteran experience because at this point, I think the Bulls players are young enough to be high prospect potential kids, but they're getting to the point where they've been in the league enough that they should start showing and figuring it out now.
Well, at first they were trying to build around Kobe White.
Dude, I think
and he's a good person to build around, but also he was,
young.
I think he did 2 years in college and then got drafted. So like, it's a 20-year-old dude who's also just not this monster player. Like he's not your boy Anthony Davis, just monster 7-footer who's just like just ball.
Freak of an athlete.
I think Kobe is maybe 6 foot. I think he might be 5'10".
Yeah, he's short.
Look up Kobe White.
He's athletic.
Coby.
Coby, I don't know.
But I do see because here's the thing, it kind of sucks. I think for the rest of the league having to see Ja Morant right now with the Grizzlies, 20 years old, taking 8th seed against the 1st seed, and they're doing pretty well actually.
Really?
Yeah, if you're watching.
The Grizzlies what?
I
didn't even know they made the playoffs, and then I see that they're actively competing.
Yeah, they're playing right now. The series they're against the Jazz right now, and I think as of yesterday it was a split 2-2.
Yeah,
the Jazz were the number 1 seed, but I think that tells you how crazy this offseason was.
Yeah,
think about it. It was the shortest offseason for the champions. They had 37 days between
something like
the
that.
bubble and then starting the new season. It was something really small, and so that's why I think you saw the collapse of the Heat.
Yeah,
because they were in the finals, but they aren't built the same way as the Lakers are. They didn't have
the depth chart, and they had to play physical, and they have to, Jimmy Butler, another guy who was supposed to be a great prospect, went to Chicago, completely folded. Got tossed around and ends up at the Heat, and it makes a lot of sense, and I'm very angry about it, but I'm happy for him. Shut up. But yeah, he was this super physical player, just bodying up people, playing his goddamn heart out until Game 6 of the finals, and then just can't. That's a hard thing to.
I mean, that's how the Lakers are built, honestly. That's why I don't count the Lakers out, even though we play slow. The whole name of the game is to slow the clock down. Yeah. And just play defense.
Defense.
That's the start of it.
And everybody has good shooting percentages. So.
Yeah, decent. The offense doesn't click for the Lakers right now, but it's not about the offense. The offense is the byproduct. The reason why Anthony Davis is so key is because he can do everything defensively. And that's the thing is you want him to stop the other team and then go out in transition. And that's where LeBron takes over. He's the master of transition scoring or the half-court set. The problem is not all the players on the team have had time to gel, so the offense isn't going to work. But right now we're in the playoffs against the Suns. And I think the Suns for the regular season averaged about 115, 120 points a game. In the last 3 games you've seen, they scored 99 and they beat us 99-90. They lost the second game 109-102. They lost the third game and they were held to 90 something, 95 I think.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So what you see the Lakers do is LeBron, AD, Andre Drummond, right? KCP, Alex Caruso, all these guys for their position are bigger than average.
Yeah.
So when it comes to defense, they can hold more than just their
It's hard.
guy. They can switch.
Yeah, it's hard
And
to get
that's-
people to drop on them.
Yeah, and so that's the whole game plan is I know you're going to score, but we're going to slow that shit down.
Yeah.
We're going to run the clock so you have less opportunities to score. And then when you do, you're going to have to go through us to score.
Yeah.
It's going to be physical. And you see it. It's a very slow, and it's not as exciting as we were used to. Like, the Warriors was exciting to watch in their heyday, right?
God.
You watch this version of the Lakers.
Can't believe that we've got a finals. I don't mean to cut you off. A finals without them.
Dude, it's wild, right?
Bananas.
Dude, and that's
Having
why...
the number one shooter in all the NBA not make.
Well, Klay Thompson is still injured.
Yeah.
And-
I mean, it makes sense, but the Warriors have been so hot since 13.
Yeah, forever. As long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Like, they've been around for a while. And that's why I give credit to the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies to knock them out. Like, that says something about Ja Morant and how mature of a player he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the basketball is exciting this year.
It is.
It's very
I've not
exciting.
seen enough, and I'm a little disappointed in myself, but it is definitely a good year.
Yeah.
Definitely a good year. I'm interested to see how the rest of the playoffs unfold and how who ends up making it. Man, it'll be
the Lakers. Repeat.
I hope it doesn't. I hope you guys get knocked out in the Western Conference. Oh God.
Well,
It'll
after
make me
this, okay,
so
so
happy.
we play the Suns, and I'm hoping we beat the Suns, but the Suns are playing really hard right now. I know the game is going on right now, actually, too. But after this, I think if the Lakers win, we go to the next round and we face the winner of the Trailblazers or the Nuggets, whoever wins those two. And the reason why I say the
And
Lakers,
you want to go against Damian Lillard?
we beat them last year.
I know, but
Gentlemen sweep last year.
but
they
Dame has been.
did they lose today?
I don't know. Can you look up?
I think the Blazers lost today. I don't know because I didn't see the game. But either way, we beat the Blazers and we beat the Nuggets last year. So as a Lakers fan, I am not worried.
The Blazers won, yeah.
Yeah, 115 to 94.
Okay, so it's tied 2-2. They're on game 4 right now. Okay.
What about the who's playing right now? Is it LA playing right now?
Yeah, LA is playing the Suns right now.
What's
And
that?
then earlier today, somebody else was playing. I forgot who. I saw the Wizards get beat yesterday by the Sixers.
Ha ha!
Sheesh. Okay, 2-2. They needed to win. That's cool.
Oh, it'd be so sweet if you get knocked out in the first round by the Suns. Oh, that would just make me happy.
Well, we already know what we were going to say. Injuries. We didn't have time to gel.
The only reason why I would say that would be exciting is because then there's like technically the Nets would be the team, but like names wise, if LA gets knocked out now, you're not seeing anybody that's been in playoff contention in years, right? Suns, Trailblazers, Grizzlies, Magic. Like when did I
Like
can't
they're all teams that are new.
just
They-
super on
yeah.
the come up, super fresh, and that's what makes it exciting. As opposed to like you were used to seeing Golden State, Celtics,
LA, the Heat.
the Heat. Like you're used to seeing these names and it's just like, oh, who are they going to be playing against? As opposed to now, it's like, oh, wait, none of them are in there. I mean, it's pretty in the bag that the Nets. I mean, who do they got to go against?
They've got to play. So they're finishing off the Celtics right now.
Yeah,
But the Celtics put up a fight. Jason Tatum went off for 50 points, I think, the other day, by himself,
bananas.
and they won. So that's not an easy one to fight because I don't think the Nets play defense.
Oh no!
They-
What?
Everybody says like
Nobody-
they play some defense, but I'm like I really don't think
Nobody
they
on the
play
Nets
that.
knows how to play defense.
Right? Okay, I'm glad it's not just me.
You got KD. Not like he plays defense, but not known for it.
Harden, he's been
Harden.
known to be lazy,
Actively doesn't play defense.
and then Kyrie, he's just gonna get abused by size.
Yeah.
Blake Griffin,
Griffin's on the way out. You can body like if you're aggressive enough, you're gonna outmaneuver
Yeah, if
him
you're a
because
young
he's
enough
on the
team.
yeah he's
That's why I'm interested to see. So I think The teams that I would want to see play in the East right now against the Nets, I would say the Sixers, because they're similarly built like the Lakers. They're built on the idea of size. Ben
Yeah, just-
Simmons plays their point guard. The man is like 6'8", 6'9". That's a big fucking point guard, man. Like,
Just a big boy.
yeah, and then Joel Embiid, he's big for a center too. Like they play based off of size, and Tobias Harris right now is going off.
Yeah.
Like he is playing on another level right now. So the Sixers are somebody
There's
to
so
watch
many
out
of these
for.
players just all of a sudden, just like 40-point games, 50-point games.
Yeah,
Like, what
no.
are we doing?
I think what the NBA has become is either you know you're competing or get out.
Yeah.
Right? Like the Thunder are like the poster boy of get out. They've got
Yeah.
20 something first round picks over the next 3 or 4 years. They know they're not trying to compete, and yet somehow they are, but they've got so many first round picks. Like
Yeah.
they're set for the future right now if they know how to draft and scout right.
If they make the right picks.
If they don't do what the Celtics do and hoard them and then not use them
Yeah.
or not trade for somebody, like they could have had AD apparently, and they refused to put picks in there for some reason.
Dumb.
And I'm not complaining as a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say.
Just bad business practice, man.
I mean, but
Ultimately,
the Sixers, I would want to see them play.
that'd be fun.
And then I'd also want to see the Bucks play the Nets. Because the way the Nets play, I don't know. Like they can all score, we all know that. But against the Sixers or the Bucks, that's physical teams, man. Like
Dude,
coming
Giannis.
back from injuries, all those guys, and
Giannis
not
beat-
having any chemistry, like they're gonna get beat up, and at some
Yeah.
point they're gonna get tired.
Yeah.
Like there's no better way of saying it.
They're just man. You don't have a cohesive team of like actual like. It's not based on being cohesive. It's based around like just great players.
Doing ISOs
Yeah.
with their own skill, yeah. And I think that's what made the Warriors so dangerous was the cohesiveness, was
Yeah, man.
the ability of cool. You're gonna double me as Steph Curry. That's it. Well, I can make this shot, but also I can give
Here you
it
go,
to
Clay.
whoever. Yeah, exactly.
Here
Like,
you go, KD. It's
they knew exactly who to. And then at the end of it, it was like, here you go, Draymond. And Draymond was smart enough, like, fuck it, I'll take this shot. Or I'm enough of a threat that I can make you come my way, and then I'll pass it
Yeah.
back to Steph, who will sink it regardless. Like
Just
that-
guaranteed.
yeah, that's what made them so scary was that ability, and that's what made the Spurs so dangerous when
Mm-hmm.
in their heyday was they knew how to operate as a team. And ultimately, if the Lakers don't win it, it's going to be disappointing only because of how short of an offseason they had, and then the unfortunate circumstances of dealing with so many injuries. Like that really is a big deal. Was they did not have time to gel and ramp up. Like
Yeah.
we won the championships and we made improvements.
Yeah.
You know that never happens. Most people say we won, run it back. No, they were like we won. Where can we get better?
Yeah.
And injuries, you know, it's the same reason I think you've got to give credit to the Celtics because right now they're out Jaylen Brown
Yeah.
and Kemba Walker's dealing with knee injuries. You know, I hate to say that, but you got to give them credit. Like, and other teams, you know, this short off season affected a lot of teams as far as the injuries go. I think, and I know there's no statistical proof, but you can see it. People are tired. Like,
Well,
the Heat,
they're tired, and then
that-
you get these random teams that like stop playing in March.
yeah, like the Knicks had 200 and something days off.
Yeah.
The Lakers had,
And now they're in the
37.
finals for the first time in 13 years or something like that. Yeah, like that plays a factor.
Yeah.
When obviously everybody is well rested. Like, excuse me, everybody's fantastic ball players. That's why they're in the NBA. But then you get into this like psychological level of, well, he's had 200 days off. You've had 40.
That mental exhaustion of
The
just
mental,
being
yeah.
on the road, being in game mode all the time, not seeing your family, like
Not getting to work on the craft, just doing the craft. Like, you know, your point guard for the Knicks, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but you just get to practice shooting. Oh, just 4 hours in the gym, just practice shooting? Okay, cool.
I think it's Frank Telinica.
Like, it's just different. You get this advantage. And it's
Oh, I'm sorry, Ntilikina. Oh, they put Derrick Rose as a starter.
hell yeah, they are. God damn it.
Yeah, that's right. Derrick Rose, Alfred Payton, Frank Telinica.
But yeah, it's just like
Then you'll pick the shots.
there's definitely an added advantage, and you know, just like last year where they were like said that there's an asterisk on it.
There'll probably have to be some sort of asterisk.
There's an
on this
asterisk
one
on this
too.
year as well. They just by nature of it, where you have to take into account like
I don't know if I would go so far as to say an asterisk because I think at the end of the day you have to win. Like regardless of the circumstances,
winning is winning.
you have to win. Winning
Yes.
is winning.
But there
you
is
do have to make a note that there is different circumstances. But at the same time, I also say like if you're here to win, there is no circumstances. And I think Kobe said the same thing before he passed away. He's like, it doesn't matter if it's a bubble or not. I'm gonna fucking win.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Yeah,
And I'm like, that's fair. And I get it. There's different stimuli. That's why playoff P is so interesting to me too. Is having to deal with all these and hearing what he says. I'm wondering like how many more times you have to give yourself a reason for why this didn't work or why you're able to show out. Like you're not gonna get the perfect situation. You had that chance. You didn't want to come to the Lakers. Like, sorry.
Yeah, man. No, there's definitely there's all the caveats and this, that, and whatever. But it's like, did you win or not?
Exactly.
There's things to take into account, and that's why maybe I think that might be why I like fighting so much, and that's why that's my main sport is because there's less of that. It's like just straight.
It's really just you and the other fighter.
It's you and the other fighter. You guys went through a similar camp, and yeah, you might have broken something. You might have gotten a staph infection. You might have gotten this and that, whatever. But it's like you still have to show up and fight on this date.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a game 2 where like you might be able to just get benched for the first round. It's like if you didn't get good sleep or blah blah blah. Like all these fighters talk about this. Last time, the last one that was really bad was Paulo Costa got absolute bodied by Israel Adesanya in the second round TKO, and he blamed it on he couldn't go to sleep, so he drank 2 bottles of wine the
Wait,
night
what?
before.
No, what?
Supposedly he drank 2 like he couldn't go to sleep, so he cracked open a bottle of wine and he drank it, and that didn't work, so he cracked open another one and he drank it. Finally got to go to sleep, but then he was hungover and that's why he performed poorly. It's like, sure, okay, yeah.
Wow.
or
I want to take some melatonin or something.
Yeah,
right, or Deontay Wilder in his last fight against Tyson Fury, he came out with this stupid. Can you look it up? Deontay Wilder body armor. Just look at this. Are you familiar with it? That's one of the goofiest walkout things I've ever seen.
What?
Yeah. The black one is the one that he wore. The not that one. The with the red eyes. Yeah, that. So he walks out in that, and apparently it's something like 100 pounds. And he said that, and his walkout was like, I think it took him 6 minutes or something like that to get to the ring. So he said by the time he got to the ring, his legs were fatigued, and that's why he didn't have the knockout power, and that's why he lost. Like,
Then why did you do that?
then come out dressed like Mike Tyson with the skull cap and the crop top.
Right.
Just come out naked at that point. Like, come on, man.
Like a lot of these fighters have this bullshit of why they didn't win, but it's like, no, you got knocked out.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't win.
Jeez, these guys.
Yeah. And there is less, of these caveats kind of embedded in the sport.
Less environmental or third-party reasons for why something can happen.
Why something, like the Lakers didn't perform at its highest level because LeBron was out for like what, 24 games?
Oh,
something like
more
that.
than that.
Like
36, I think.
You're right. Half the season, he's out.
He was out for a while.
Right. Yeah, that plays a factor, but like also just be a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, me being a Chicago fan, why was Derrick Rose such a pivotal? Like, why did we fold when Derrick Rose blew out his knee? Because he was the only player that could play. Like,
basketball is unique because there's like only 5 people on the court at any given time, and I've talked about this with my dad a lot too. Basketball is really affected by maybe one player, And I think the superstars in the league, the ones that are really superstars, the ones that help you the most, are the players who can fulfill multiple roles.
Yeah.
Because it frees up what your role players can do. You've only got 5 spots. So if you can lump up your ball handler, your distributor, a scorer, your shooter, and defense in one guy, you've now got 4 other spots to do with whatever you want.
Exactly.
Versus having to have 4 or 5 role players.
Yeah.
Right? And basketball, more so than anybody else, really relies on that. That's why LeBron is such a big deal.
And that's
Steph
why
is such a big deal.
That's why the Nets are.
That's why the Nets are bad, are huge
are
dangerous right now.
interesting, yeah.
Because they've got
to see if they end up folding because of that.
they've got 3 superstars who can do everything, but the intangibles are also, a big part of it too. Like, how do they play together?
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to be ISO ball or is it going to be team ball?
Yeah.
Right.
And you saw that they had that one bananas play, where somebody stole it, kicked it off to Griffin, and then he did that behind the back.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That come
I
across
saw
your timeline? Yeah. Like,
It was so rude.
so disrespectful.
Absolutely.
All 5 players touched the ball. Like that. That's what you would hope for with a team like that.
Mm-hmm.
But that took until the playoffs,
Yeah, I don't know if they have
To
the
see
time
that
to
play?
figure that out,
right?
honestly. Because they got James Harden in the middle of this season, too, if I remember.
Yeah.
He was a trade.
Yeah.
So he hasn't even had the full amount of time to hang out. And KD just came off Achilles injury. Like, he wasn't there the whole time. And then Kyrie and all of his stuff, like, he's been in and out, too. Like, yeah, they're fascinating to watch right now, just with how much is going on, the potential. But the paper versus practice, that's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think that they've had the time to gel the way the Bucks have, the way the Sixers have. In the West, you could say the same thing about the Mavs and the Blazers. That's why I think, for me, the Clippers-Mavs is a big deal, because the Mavs, they've had that time to build that chemistry. The Clippers, I don't know that they have, even though they've been together for a year now.
Yeah.
I still hear reports about Kawhi and Paul George not showing up to practice every now and then, or, are they really opening up to other players, or do they just show up and then do their job?
Yeah.
Right? Whereas you can tell the Mavs players, they all talk together all the time.
Yeah.
Dame is such a leader. He talks to everybody on the team all the time. He's open communication. So you see them, and that's the thing that I think you don't get a real view of as a fan, is
Yeah.
seeing this time where they really gel and why chemistry is a big deal. And as musicians, you understand too, you have to have chemistry among the ensemble. Otherwise, you're not going to get the one sound you want. It's
Yeah.
going to be multiple sounds about the same.
That's a good point. Absolutely, man. Well, it's about to be 6:00, man. I don't want to take too much of your time. Got two final questions for you. They're kind of the ones. One final question and then something else. Kind of the same thing that I try to ask everybody. Okay. Are you familiar with the Pizza Hut, KFC, Taco Bell? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those like the 3 fast food joints all in the same building?
Yeah.
Okay. Now imagine you're there, but instead of 3, it's literally every fast food joint ever. You could order at the same desk. Money's not an issue, and as long as you finish it, your body's not going to feel like garbage. Right?
Okay.
What's the ultimate order?
Oof. Ultimate order. Okay.
And I'm talking any fast food joint, West Coast, East Coast, up north, down south, and you can get as detailed as you want.
Yeah, like the contents of the food could be for different places
Yeah.
too. If you want this bun from this place, if you want.
So I'd probably do Whataburger Dr. Pepper,
Okay.
McDonald's fries, and then I would get a Whataburger, bacon Whataburger with creamy jalapeno sauce added, and bacon. I would get a Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. I'm one of those multi-food people.
No, I get it, man. No. That's what this is for.
And then I would also get orange chicken from Panda Express.
Okay.
Finish it off with a McFlurry, Oreo McFlurry. I think that would be my ultimate order if every fast food joint is together.
That might be the most eclectic
Yeah.
one to date.
Yeah.
Nobody said orange chicken yet.
Nobody thinks
I
of
think that's
Panda
such a
Express
staple.
as fast food, but if you're Asian, you know it's not even real.
It's not even Asian food.
That's like, hey man, let's go get some real Mexican food. You want to go to Taco Bell? And every Hispanic person will look at me and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's an insult to my people. I slap you." I'm like, okay. I
Oh man, we
deserve
didn't
it."
even get to that. We didn't even get to the Asian culture thing. The Asian food thing.
I mean, I guess I got to come back for another podcast now.
Oh, dude, all the time, man. I mean, it's been 2.5 hours,
Yeah.
2.5 hours, and it didn't feel anything anywhere near as long, right? I mean, and that's why I don't know why I didn't hit you up earlier. I think it was because I didn't know that you were in Austin, but that just like you said, I didn't know Sanders was down
Yeah,
there as well.
after college, it's hard to keep up.
It's
with
hard to keep up
is.
where everybody gets located. Shinover just moved up there, so it's. But I mean, you've always been just somebody that's super easy to talk to. Always mad insightful. Always got really interesting takes and full body takes, and that's what I appreciate about it.
Bro, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hyping me up out here.
Dude, you know, I do my best to give people their flowers, and I think that's important. I think that comes from something that I've learned from doing the podcast is keeping up with is it a level of humility? I don't think it's a level of humility. No, what's respecting that everybody's got something to share. I think that's what it is, right? And then being able to appreciate it as they were, right? Like I think there was a couple times in there you just like talked for like 5 minutes, and I just you know, right? But there was no reason for me to cut you off because everything you were saying was, like I said, full bodied.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's
I like to talk, yeah.
well, that's why I like doing it, man, is because how often do you get to do that?
Facts.
Right.
You know, that's one thing I find fascinating about your podcast is you've got so many different guests, so many different viewpoints and backgrounds, and so many topics you guys talk about too. And it's just open chatter. Like that doesn't get to happen very often.
Man.
So it's really refreshing whenever you get to kind of just, you know, kind of retreat from the real world for a while. Just kind of listen to just, you know, open talk. It's refreshing.
Yeah. Like how often do people, and then I make fun of him for it because he doesn't do it, but how often do you get to talk to somebody for 2-3 hours and not look at your phone?
Right.
Bitch. Ooh, I've got a girlfriend. Nah, but it's just simple things like that, man. Like just getting to talk to somebody and getting to catch up, and that I think that's selfishly. I just keep asking my friends to come on because I haven't talked to them in a couple of years that I want to catch up.
Hey man, it's a good way of pulling them in.
Yeah,
them.
man. And then plus, you know, it's always nice when they have something good to say, make me think, which is nice. Like the last person we had on, Brent Caldwell, taught for 40 plus years.
30.
30 plus years?
Yeah.
30 plus years, right? And just like me talking to him, like, dude, I don't think I'm gonna make it to 30 plus years because of the way I teach. And he's like, you're probably not. but him being honest with me, because he's like, dude, my first couple years, I barely did anything. Your first couple of years, you're doing everything. So it's like,
real talk.
yeah, it's cool
what it
to
is.
it's cool to hear, you know, hear people's things like that. You know, the one of the ladies I teach with out here, Jennifer Essery, she started this online business, Hickory and Elm, right? HickoryandElm.com. Yeah. I had no idea. She didn't tell anybody. She'd been doing it for a year and a half.
Huh.
Yeah. She was just like, I wanted to see if I could get it up and going on my own without telling friends. I was like,
Wow.
That's super dope.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she did, and now, and like I think we're like she's into it like 2+ years, and she just barely now is like mentioning it to people, and it's like fairly successful, and it's like, dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's really impressive to like not try to get like support immediately from people. Like that's
Yeah.
inflated numbers.
yeah.
That's cool.
Having Colin Freedley jump on with
Oh,
Dane,
yeah.
with Dane and Jason talking about that album that they did, right? It's like,
My girlfriend loves that album.
it's a good album, dude. I didn't do my best on skirting the question, but I eventually got there. I wanted it to be more weird. But it was just really good, normal content.
Yeah.
But I wanted Dane to just give me those crazy jazz chords and then Colin just like floating on top of it and Jason
Yeah.
just playing this weird guitar stuff. Like that's what I wanted. But then I got like
I mean, it was their first album, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think they're working on another.
they are. I mean, they said it on the podcast. But,
Nice.
But you know, you always got a spot up here, man. I could
Man, I
I could probably
appreciate
talk. I could probably bounce between you and Evan as co-host, and it'd be the easiest thing ever. But before we get you out of here, man, is any, for better or worse, a lot of my students and a lot of his students listen to this podcast. So, and you know, just in general, man, like it's a bunch of people out here. As we've grown older, we realize that nobody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So any
Controlled chaos is what it is. That's what it is. You look like you know what's happening, but really you're like, I don't know what the fuck is happening.
you're
but
taking a swing and hoping you hit something.
Yep. Typical standing in the grocery, like, do I want this or this? I don't know. I'm gonna flip a coin.
Exactly.
That's my whole life.
So with that, man, any tidbits, golden nuggets, words of advice, shout outs to the kids, anything you can give off the top of your head?
I mean, your kids are in high school.
Yeah.
And your kids are in middle school.
My kids don't listen to this show.
Oh, okay.
They know that we do a podcast.
Okay.
Yes, two of them mentioned it, and they said it was boring because it's two old people talking.
Dang, we're old
But
now.
they're also 13, so screw
That's
that.
fair. That's fair. Okay, I guess this will be really for high school students. I would say, don't stop asking why. That should be the basis of why you do anything and what you're doing to further yourself, I think. You know, why does this work this way? Why is this happening? Why does this happen if I do this? What happens if I change this and why? Always be asking why. And then moving on to the next step, I'm sure a lot of the guys are going to be thinking about college careers or, you know, some sort of career. Definitely make sure that you take care of, you know, yourself, know how to sell yourself, sell your brand, and polishing every edge you can to present your best self. I started getting into the professional world and I started seeing why things are done, asking myself, why do we do it this way? Why do I use special paper to print my resume on? Why do I do all that? Understanding why, you start understanding how to play the game. And once you start understanding how to play the game, that's how you start making moves in the game. So definitely just keep asking why.
Word, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out here, brother. Spending some time with us on this lovely Sunday afternoon. Evan, appreciate you, big dog. As always, everybody that's been rocking with us out there to the end, thank y'all very much. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace.
Thank you.